The mystery of the Koso artifact. The Koso artifact remains one of the most perplexing and debated discoveries in modern archaeology, often cited as evidence of ancient anomalies that defy conventional timelines. The discovery was made near the town of Olancha in California in the year 1961, when a small group of prospectors were searching for geodes in the Koso Mountains. As they broke open the stones collected from the area, one particular specimen revealed something entirely unexpected. A perfectly preserved metallic object that appeared to be a spark plug, completely encased within a geode believed to be around 500,000 years old. The artifact was astonishing, not only because of its appearance, but also because of its seemingly impossible placement within a geological formation dating back hundreds of thousands of years. The geode's hard outer shell indicated that it had taken immense time to form, yet inside it was a man-made object, unmistakably modern in design and construction. The spark plug was sealed so completely that it had been protected from corrosion or environmental decay, appearing almost as if it had been manufactured only recently. For many researchers, this suggested that it could not have simply been a recent intrusion, but rather an artifact that had somehow existed during the distant prehistoric era. What made the discovery even more extraordinary was the complexity of the object itself. A spark plug, a component essential to modern engines, is a device that requires advanced knowledge of electricity, metallurgy, and engineering to produce. Technologies that are far beyond anything known to have existed 500,000 years ago. The precision and materials of the object pointed unmistakably to a technological origin, leaving few plausible explanations other than the possibility that it had been left behind by a human visitor from the future, or by a civilization whose technological achievements have since been lost to time. Those who study the Koso artifact often view it as tangible evidence that human history is far older and more complex than accepted records suggest. If humans, or advanced visitors resembling them, existed hundreds of thousands of years ago, it could mean that our species has risen and fallen multiple times through the ages, each cycle leaving behind traces of forgotten knowledge. The artifact also supports the theory that time travel or interdimensional exploration may have occurred long before the modern era, explaining how such an advanced device came to rest within an ancient geological structure. Even today, the Koso artifact stands as a challenge to scientific orthodoxy, a physical mystery that bridges the gap between prehistory and modern technology. The mysterious laptop of ancient Greece. One of the most mysterious artifacts from ancient Greece is a marble relief sculpture that many now believe contains evidence of advanced technology, specifically a laptop-like device from a time thousands of years before computers were invented. The artifact in question, known as the grave Niskos of an enthroned woman with an attendant, depicts a seated woman, believed to be the Oracle of Delphi, gazing intently at what appears to be a thin rectangular object held open before her by a smaller attendant. This ancient piece, currently displayed at the J. Paul Getty Museum in Malibu, California, has ignited widespread debate and wonder due to its uncanny resemblance to modern computing devices. The Oracle of Delphi was one of the most influential figures in all of ancient Greek culture. She served as the high priestess of the Temple of Apollo and was believed to possess divine wisdom that allowed her to communicate directly with the gods. Through her prophecies, she guided leaders, influenced wars, and shaped the course of history. The oracle was seen as both blessed and burdened, gifted with the ability to foresee the future, yet cursed to carry the immense responsibility of knowing what others could not. Ancient records describe how she entered trance-like states, speaking messages from the divine that were later interpreted by temple priests. However, recent interpretations of ancient Greek artwork have given rise to a far more unconventional theory: that the oracle's gift of foresight may have been aided not by divine power, but by technology beyond her time. The sculpture in question portrays the oracle seated gracefully, extending her hand toward a flat, hinged object that appears remarkably similar to a modern laptop. The attendant stands opposite her, holding the object open, as though presenting it for viewing. Upon closer inspection, the rectangular frame seems too shallow to be a storage chest or box, as once thought. Even more intriguing are the small circular indentations visible along its edge, which some claim resemble modern-day USB or data ports. Supporters of this theory suggest that the oracle's ability to foresee the future could have been enhanced through information provided by time-traveling humans. They propose that visitors from the distant future may have given her this device as a means of bridging communication between eras, allowing knowledge and prophecy to pass through time. Such an interpretation, though extraordinary, has captured the imagination of researchers and enthusiasts alike who believe that the past holds evidence of humanity's future capabilities. In this context, the oracle's prophecies may not have come from the gods, but from an advanced technological connection to future knowledge. If the object truly was a communication device, it could explain how the oracle was able to describe events centuries ahead of her time with such precision, including predictions that guided the great rulers of Greece and beyond. The sculpture, therefore, becomes more than an artistic relic. It becomes a testament to the possibility that ancient civilizations were not as isolated from advanced knowledge as once believed. The detail and precision with which the artist captured this moment suggest that the object held great significance. The woman's gaze is directed deeply into the screen-like surface, and her hand is poised as if interacting with it, gestures that eerily resemble how people engage with laptops today. For believers, this is too striking to dismiss as coincidence. They argue that ancient Greece may have been visited by technologically advanced travelers who shared selective knowledge and artifacts, helping to shape the foundation of Western civilization. While traditional historians continue to interpret the object as a jewelry box or writing tablet, others point to the technological similarities as evidence that our ancestors may have had contact with knowledge from the future. The mystery of the Aure Crater. In the early morning hours of the 28th of March, 2020, residents of Aure, a city in southwestern Nigeria, were shaken by a powerful blast that left behind a massive crater, damaged dozens of homes, and sent confusion and fear throughout the community. The event occurred near the Akure-Owo Road, approximately 2 kilometers from the city's airport, and was so strong that it could be heard and felt miles away. When images of the site began circulating online, they revealed an enormous crater, with curious onlookers gathering around the rim to witness what many quickly began calling a mystery of cosmic proportions. At first, authorities attributed the blast to a tragic accident involving a truck carrying explosives. According to Governor Rotimi Akeredolu, the vehicle had been part of a convoy transporting materials to a quarry in a neighboring state when it suffered a mechanical failure. The truck, according to his statement, exploded while stranded on the roadside, causing the destruction that followed. However, this explanation did not satisfy everyone, particularly local scientists who visited the site shortly afterward and found several inconsistencies in the official story. Leading the scientific inquiry was Professor Adepolumi Adekunle, a geophysicist and earthquake engineer from Obafemi Awolowo University. His team conducted an extensive field investigation at the crater and discovered a number of remarkable details that seemed to contradict the idea of a man-made explosion. The crater, measuring roughly 21 meters in diameter and almost 8 meters deep, exhibited characteristics consistent with a high-velocity impact rather than a surface-level detonation. According to Professor Adekunle's findings, the object appeared to have struck the ground at an angle of 43 degrees, a trajectory more commonly associated with meteor impacts than with ground explosions. Even more intriguing were the materials found within the crater. The research team recovered several foreign rocks and strange metallic fragments that did not match the geological composition of the surrounding area. They also noted the absence of any signs of combustion or fire damage, something that would normally accompany an explosion caused by fuel or chemicals. No trace of a buried vehicle or explosive residue could be detected. Instead, the evidence pointed toward an extraterrestrial origin. Water was observed seeping from the edges of the crater, and the impact zone extended nearly 1 kilometer in radius, causing cracks and structural damage to surrounding buildings, but leaving no burn marks or signs of heat. Professor Adekunle's report concluded that the event was the result of a meteor from an asteroid belt entering Earth's atmosphere and striking the ground with tremendous force. He further explained that the angle and speed of the impact suggested a small but dense body that managed to survive atmospheric entry, creating the circular depression and scattering debris across the surrounding terrain. However, the mystery did not end there. Some residents and independent researchers began to question how such a significant space object could enter Earth's atmosphere undetected. Given modern satellite tracking and early warning systems, many found it difficult to believe that neither NASA nor other international space agencies had recorded the object before its impact. This led to growing speculation that authorities were withholding information, perhaps to prevent public alarm. Others proposed even more unconventional explanations, suggesting that what struck Aure might not have been a meteor at all, but something far stranger, an unidentified craft or technology that malfunctioned upon entry. Despite the debate, what remains undeniable is the scale and strangeness of the Aure Crater. The site has become a symbol of both scientific curiosity and local legend, drawing visitors and researchers eager to uncover the truth behind what really happened that morning. The strange case of Our Lady of Elwarak. On the first day of the blessed Coptic month of Kiak, in December 2009, the quiet district of Elwarak in Egypt became the center of one of the most widely witnessed spiritual events of the century. Located on a small island along the Nile River and known for its humble and impoverished surroundings, Elwarak was suddenly illuminated by a series of inexplicable lights that would come to be known as the Apparitions of the Holy Virgin St. Mary, an event now remembered as the Mystery of Our Lady of Elwarak. It began one evening when local residents, both Christian and Muslim, noticed a radiant light hovering above the dome of the St. Mary and Archangel Michael Coptic Orthodox Church. What started as a single bright orb soon took on a distinct and graceful form, that of a woman clothed in glowing blue and white light. Witnesses described her head encircled by a golden halo and her hands gently extended as though in blessing. For several minutes, the figure moved slowly above the church dome, surrounded by luminous beams that radiated across the night sky. Word of the apparition spread rapidly through Elwarak, and within hours, hundreds of people had gathered outside the church. By midnight, the crowd numbered in the thousands. People prayed, wept, and chanted hymns as the glowing figure remained visible, her light shimmering across the Nile. The sight was not confined to those standing near the church. Eyewitnesses miles away reported seeing the mysterious illumination rising above the skyline of Cairo. The phenomenon continued throughout December 2009, with repeated appearances over the church. Each time, the form of the Holy Mother appeared in the same position, surrounded by radiant light that emanated from the crosses atop the church. Witnesses described how birds, glowing as if made of light themselves, would circle the apparition before vanishing into the night. The scenes were captured by cameras and mobile phones, and many of the photographs showed a clearly defined glowing silhouette in the unmistakable form of the Virgin Mary. Among the most remarkable aspects of the event was that it was first witnessed by a group of Muslim residents living across from the church. They described seeing a large orb of light that condensed into the shape of a woman before their eyes. In Egypt, where faith often transcends religious boundaries during moments of wonder, Muslims and Christians alike gathered to witness what they believed to be a divine manifestation. Many saw the event as a message of peace and unity at a time when the country faced growing social and political challenges. Those familiar with Egypt's spiritual history immediately drew parallels to the famous apparitions of the Virgin Mary in Zaytun in 1968, when the Holy Mother reportedly appeared over another Coptic church in Cairo for several months. To many believers, the appearance of the Virgin once again in Elwarak was seen as her return, a continuation of her promise to bless and protect the people of Egypt. High-quality photographs and videos from the Elwarak event quickly spread across the world, captivating millions. The images showed what appeared to be an ethereal female form glowing with a soft blue light against the night sky. No technological explanation has ever convincingly accounted for the phenomenon. Experts in optics and atmospheric science have been unable to reproduce the event or identify any artificial light sources that could create such a vivid and structured image. Officials from the Coptic Orthodox Church investigated the sightings and confirmed that the reports were consistent with accounts of previous Marian apparitions. Clergy and eyewitnesses described feeling an overwhelming sense of peace and spiritual renewal during the manifestations. The events were even observed by police officers assigned to manage the growing crowds, many of whom testified to seeing the same luminous figure. What makes the mystery of Our Lady of Elwarak so profound is its enduring impact. For weeks, people from all over Egypt travelled to the small island to pray at the church, hoping to witness the vision for themselves. Pilgrims spoke of miraculous healings, conversions, and moments of deep personal revelation that followed their visit. For those who experienced it firsthand, there was no doubt that they had seen something extraordinary, a sign from heaven. To this day, no rational or scientific explanation has ever been found for the lights that appeared above the church that winter. The phenomenon remains unexplained, joining a long history of Marian apparitions that have appeared at moments of hardship and transformation. The faithful believe that the Virgin's appearance in Elwarak was a message of hope, a divine reassurance that faith endures even in the most challenging of times. The mystery of the Phaistos disk. Discovered on the island of Crete, the mysterious Phaistos disk remains one of archaeology's most perplexing mysteries. Unearthed within the ancient Minoan palace of Phaistos, this small, fired clay disk has baffled scholars, linguists, and historians for over a century. Its strange, spiraling inscriptions bear no resemblance to any known language, leading some to believe it represents an entirely unique form of communication, one that may predate written systems as we understand them today. What makes the Phaistos disk so remarkable is its deliberate design. Measuring roughly 6 inches in diameter, both sides of the disk, known as Side A and Side B, are inscribed with an intricate sequence of symbols pressed into the clay while it was still soft. The impressions appear to have been made using small stamps, suggesting that the symbols were not individually carved, but rather printed, much like an early form of typography. This detail alone places the artifact far ahead of its time, displaying a level of sophistication not typically associated with the Bronze Age. The arrangement of the symbols is equally fascinating. The inscriptions follow a spiral pattern that begins at the center and radiates outward, guiding the observer along a continuous path of over 200 symbols. These include images of human heads, birds, fish, animals, plants, tools, and geometric shapes, each rendered in exquisite detail. What makes the artifact even more puzzling is that the symbols do not correspond to any known script, including Linear A or Linear B, which were both used by the ancient Minoans. The two sides of the disk feature completely distinct sets of symbols, with no apparent repetition or mirrored patterns between them. Side A and Side B seem to tell different stories, or perhaps convey separate messages, yet the meaning behind either remains lost. Despite decades of study, experts have not been able to identify whether the symbols represent phonetic sounds, syllables, entire words, or even abstract concepts. Some researchers have suggested that the Phaistos disk might not represent a language at all. Instead, they propose that the symbols serve as pictorial indicators, much like modern-day visual signs. Just as road signs communicate meaning through images rather than text, such as a pedestrian crossing or stop signal, the disk may have been designed to convey information through universally recognized symbols. This theory proposes that the Phaistos disk could have functioned as an instructional or ceremonial object, providing guidance through imagery rather than language. Others argue that the symbols are far too systematically arranged to be random. The careful alignment, spacing, and consistent direction of the spiral indicate that the disk follows an intentional sequence, evidence, many believe, of an encoded message waiting to be deciphered. This has inspired countless amateur and professional linguists to attempt translations, each proposing their own theories on what the disk might say. Some claim it to be a religious hymn or invocation. Others believe it records astronomical data, a calendar, or even a map of the stars. The Phaistos disk's origin also remains a subject of mystery. No other artifacts resembling it have ever been found on Crete or anywhere else in the ancient world. Its uniqueness has led some to question whether it was truly made on the island or brought there from another civilization altogether. The Minoans were known as skilled traders, engaging with distant cultures across the Mediterranean and Near East, and it is possible that the disk came from a now-lost culture whose language has vanished from history. Its craftsmanship, however, is undeniably advanced. The precision with which the symbols were pressed into the clay suggests not only careful planning, but also access to specialized tools. This indicates that whoever created the Phaistos disk possessed both artistic ability and technical knowledge. A Navy sergeant reveals a photograph of two massive underwater runways. Former Navy Sergeant Butch Diaz, a seasoned marine planner with decades of experience in underwater navigation and oceanographic mapping, has recently shared a fascinating claim that has caught the attention of those intrigued by underwater mysteries. While working on charting maritime areas south of Cuba, Sergeant Diaz reportedly encountered something entirely unexpected, what he believes to be a possible underwater base. His discovery, based on sonar imaging and satellite overlays, shows an area beneath the ocean's surface that he describes as featuring precise symmetry, which he insists is not characteristic of natural formations. Sergeant Diaz stated that while reviewing photographic scans of this region, he noticed what appeared to be two long, intersecting lines beneath the surface. These formations resembled runways or long, flat strips of terrain laid out in exact geometric fashion. Given the remote and largely unexplored nature of this underwater area, the presence of such defined and angular shapes immediately stood out to him. According to Diaz, these images did not correspond with any geological features typically formed by natural tectonic or sedimentary processes. Adding to the mystery, Diaz explained that he had spent decades working with underwater mapping systems and studying subaquatic environments for both strategic and research-based military operations. Over his long career, he had become intimately familiar with the appearance of coral beds, sandbanks, underwater ridges, and volcanic formations. However, what he saw in this specific region south of Cuba, he said, did not match any known natural phenomena. In his view, it seemed too deliberate, too symmetrical, to have been shaped by nature alone. One particularly compelling aspect of Diaz's account is the corroboration from local Cuban fishermen. According to multiple sources from coastal villages near the area, strange glowing objects have often been seen emerging from or diving into the ocean, particularly at night. These sightings have occurred over many years and have been passed down through generations. The objects are often described as emitting a radiant glow, moving silently, and vanishing into the depths of the sea without a trace. The consistency of these accounts adds a layer of credibility and intrigue to Sergeant Diaz's discovery. While some skeptics argue that sonar and satellite imagery can sometimes produce optical illusions or distortions that may resemble artificial shapes, Diaz maintains that the clarity and precision of the intersecting lines in the images he studied were unmistakable. He emphasized that the photographic evidence showed clear right angles and runway-like strips stretching across the ocean floor, patterns that are exceedingly rare in untouched underwater terrain. If his interpretation is correct, this discovery may indicate the presence of a structure hidden deep beneath the sea, potentially built by a highly advanced group, whether human or otherwise. Theories have emerged suggesting that if this is in fact a base, it could be part of a classified project or something entirely beyond the scope of current scientific understanding. The idea that an unknown base lies beneath the Caribbean waters near Cuba evokes parallels with long-standing legends of underwater civilizations and unexplained marine activity in places like the Bermuda Triangle. Despite the controversy surrounding his claims, Sergeant Diaz remains confident in what he saw. His background in marine planning and his decades of service lend credibility to his observations. He has urged for further investigation of the region using updated sonar imaging and submersible technology to determine whether the formations he documented could truly be remnants of an underwater facility or runway system. As of now, no official follow-up has been made public, but those who follow unexplained oceanic phenomena continue to point to Sergeant Diaz's discovery as a potentially groundbreaking revelation. Whether the formations are man-made, natural anomalies, or something else entirely, the waters south of Cuba may be hiding secrets yet to be fully explored. Gary McKinnon hacked NASA and found evidence of off-world crafts. Gary McKinnon, a British computer enthusiast, rose to international notoriety in the early 2000s after being accused of infiltrating US military and NASA computer systems. At the heart of his actions was a compelling motivation, not malice, but a determined search for information regarding UFOs, advanced propulsion systems, and potential contact with extraterrestrial life. What followed became one of the most talked about hacking cases in history and continues to fuel debate about hidden technologies and secret programs beyond public knowledge. McKinnon claimed his interest in hacking into these sensitive systems stemmed from a desire to uncover evidence of suppressed technological advances and proof of non-human intelligence. Among his most unusual discoveries was a folder located on a computer at NASA's Johnson Space Center titled Unfiltered. Inside this folder, McKinnon said he found a thumbnail image of a large, unidentified object in space. According to him, the object appeared cigar-shaped, highly detailed, and far more advanced in design than any spacecraft known to the public. He tried to download the full-resolution image to get a better look, but the slow speed of the network, combined with his unauthorized access being abruptly cut off, prevented him from saving the file. Still, McKinnon insisted that what he saw was not a satellite or space station module. It looked entirely unfamiliar, potentially suggesting the presence of a classified spacecraft or even a craft of non-terrestrial origin. The shape and construction of the object remained vivid in his memory, and it became a core part of the narrative he would later share with the media. In addition to the image, McKinnon reported accessing documents that hinted at something even more extraordinary. He found Excel spreadsheets that detailed what appeared to be the organizational structure of a fleet. One spreadsheet contained a list of names and ranks of personnel, none of whom appeared in any known military database. Another included references to material transfers between ships. McKinnon noted that the ship names did not match any known Navy vessels or space missions. To him, this implied the existence of a clandestine space fleet, possibly operating in orbit or beyond. These revelations led him to believe that the United States might be managing a secretive space program far more advanced than anything acknowledged by NASA or the US military. This theory aligns with a wider body of speculation surrounding the idea of a secret space program, a term often used to describe an alleged network of space vehicles, technology, and personnel operating off-world under a veil of deep secrecy. Critics of McKinnon's claims argue that his discoveries may have been misunderstood or overinterpreted. However, others believe his account adds credibility to long-standing theories that suggest humanity may already possess spacefaring technologies that are hidden from the public eye. Supporters point to whistleblowers, classified patents, and unexplained aerial phenomena as further evidence that some level of advanced, undisclosed technology may exist. The US government's response to McKinnon's actions was swift and severe. He faced extradition and potentially decades in prison. However, after years of legal battles, the extradition was ultimately blocked by the British government, citing health concerns. Despite this, McKinnon's story continues to provoke intrigue and conversation. If even part of what McKinnon claimed is accurate, the implications are profound. The existence of secret military space operations, undisclosed contact with non-human intelligence, or even advanced propulsion systems could change everything humanity understands about its place in the universe. His case remains a unique intersection of cyber intrusion, government secrecy, and the enduring mystery of what lies beyond Earth's atmosphere. Whether regarded as a reckless hacker or a whistleblower seeking truth, Gary McKinnon's journey opened a door to questions that remain unanswered to this day. The Pharaoh's Curse. On November 4, 1922, a momentous discovery was made deep in the Valley of the Kings as British archaeologist Howard Carter and his financial backer, George Herbert, the 5th Earl of Carnarvon, unearthed the tomb of the young pharaoh Tutankhamun. Unlike most other tombs that had long been looted or disturbed, King Tut's final resting place remained nearly untouched by time. The tomb was a treasure trove of elaborate artifacts, sealed chambers, and golden relics, offering a window into the wealth and mystique of ancient Egypt. But as the excavation team marveled at their success, an ancient warning carved in stone loomed over their triumph. According to Howard Carter, a particular inscription stood out among the hieroglyphics in the tomb. It translated to a chilling curse. "Cursed be those that disturb the rest of the pharaoh. They that shall break the seal of this tomb shall meet death by a disease which no doctor can diagnose." Whether considered a superstition, a symbolic warning, or an actual threat, the words seemed to cast a shadow over what should have been a celebratory moment. Shortly after the tomb's opening, strange events began to unfold. Just 5 months later, Lord Carnarvon, who had funded the expedition, suffered a mosquito bite. The wound became infected unexpectedly, and despite medical efforts, he succumbed to what was described as sepsis and systemic complications. The mystery surrounding his sudden and tragic passing sent a wave of speculation through both scientific and public communities. The media quickly revived talk of an ancient curse, suggesting that perhaps the old warning had been more than metaphor. Adding to the eeriness, 5 months after George Herbert's passing, his brother Aubrey Herbert also fell ill. He, too, reportedly experienced a fast-spreading infection that led to a similar medical outcome. This pattern of unexplained health issues, particularly among those closely connected to the tomb's opening, gave weight to the belief that disturbing the pharaoh's rest had unleashed a mysterious and inescapable force. But the pattern did not stop with the Herbert family. One of George Herbert's close friends, Sir Bruce Ingham, became indirectly involved when he received a peculiar gift from the Earl before his passing. Among the relics was a paperweight that held a mummified hand wearing a bracelet. The bracelet bore another ominous message: "Cursed be he who moves my body." After accepting this gift, Ingham's house inexplicably caught fire. As if that were not strange enough, once he began efforts to rebuild, a sudden flood struck the property, halting all progress and compounding the misfortune. These events, when considered together, began to form a narrative far beyond coincidence in the public imagination. Though skeptics pointed to natural causes and unfortunate timing, others saw a more mysterious force at play. The idea of a pharaoh's curse captivated the world, intertwining ancient superstition with modern tragedy. Books, films, and documentaries would later explore the so-called Curse of the Pharaoh, keeping the legend alive for generations. While Howard Carter himself lived for many years after the tomb's discovery, the streak of unexplained misfortunes affecting those involved or connected added to the sense that something beyond logic had been set into motion. The concept of cursed artifacts is deeply rooted in many ancient cultures, and Egypt, with its rich spiritual beliefs about death and the afterlife, is perhaps the most famous source of such legends. Whether the strange series of events were linked by a true supernatural force or were merely coincidental, the story of King Tut's tomb and those who came into contact with it continues to intrigue people around the world. The Curse of the Pharaoh remains one of history's most haunting mysteries, blending archaeology with folklore and cautioning against the disruption of ancient rest. The mysterious disappearance of Gary Shearer. The mysterious disappearance of Gary Shearer continues to haunt his family and those following the case. The 53-year-old man from Renfrewshire, Scotland, vanished shortly after arriving on the island of Lanzarote for a holiday in March 2023. 2 years later, his loved ones are still searching for answers and are preparing to return to Spain in hopes of persuading the authorities to reopen the investigation into his case. Gary had travelled to the island to celebrate St. Patrick's Day, a trip that was meant to be cheerful and relaxed. He had checked into his hotel in Puerto del Carmen on the 16th of March and messaged his mother around 5 in the afternoon to let her know he had arrived safely. He also mentioned his plan to visit a local establishment, Bar 67. That was the last confirmed communication his family received from him. CCTV footage captured a troubling timeline. In the early hours of the 17th of March, Gary was seen lying unconscious in a doorway near the bar. Later, additional surveillance footage showed him walking alongside an unidentified man, believed to be between 60 and 70 years old, with grey hair. Despite the circulation of the footage, the man has never been identified or located, and no one has come forward with information about who he may be. Gary's family believes this man could be the key to understanding what happened that night. As the days passed without contact from Gary, concern grew. The alarm was not raised with Spanish authorities until he failed to board his return flight to Scotland. Once a missing person report was filed, police searched his hotel room and discovered his passport, bank card, and medication for diabetes still there, along with other personal items. However, there was no sign of his mobile phone. The presence of his essentials in the room, especially his medicine, raised serious concerns about his well-being and whether he had intended to disappear voluntarily. The investigation, which was initially taken up by Spain's Civil Guard, was eventually closed due to a lack of information. Gary's family, however, strongly believed that more could have been done, and that new leads may still be uncovered. His niece, Darcy Deeney, has become one of the most vocal advocates in the family's quest for answers. She, along with Gary's mother, is now traveling to Spain to try and generate renewed public and police interest in the case. Darcy has stated that the family has come to terms with the likelihood that Gary will not return, but they are desperate for clarity about what occurred. The unanswered questions weigh heavily on them, and the hope is that someone on the island remembers something, perhaps even a detail they did not initially think was important. The family's belief that something suspicious may have occurred has only grown stronger with time. They are calling for anyone who might have information, however minor it may seem, to come forward. Whether it is a witness who saw Gary in the area, someone who recognizes the man in the CCTV footage, or even someone who may have spoken with Gary that evening, any detail could make a difference in potentially reopening the investigation. This situation is not only about closure for the family, but also about ensuring that no possibility is left unexplored. In many unresolved cases, breakthroughs come from unexpected sources or witnesses who come forward after seeing renewed media coverage. The family hopes that their return to the island, and the attention it brings, will lead to just such a moment. As time passes, the disappearance of Gary Shearer remains one of the most unsettling mysteries in recent years. His family continues to push forward with determination and courage, fueled by the hope that the truth will eventually come to light. Scientists are investigating a mysterious underground anomaly near the Giza pyramids. Scientists are currently investigating a mysterious underground anomaly discovered near the Giza pyramids, a site long revered for its ancient marvels and mysterious architecture. This latest development stems from new research utilizing advanced, non-invasive technologies that have revealed unusual structures buried beneath the surface of a royal graveyard neighboring the Great Pyramid of Giza. These findings may offer fresh insight into the still unfolding secrets of ancient Egypt and hint at previously unknown architectural components hidden beneath one of the most iconic archaeological sites in the world. The Great Pyramid, built in honor of Pharaoh Khufu, remains the largest pyramid in Egypt and continues to captivate scholars and explorers alike. Adjacent to this colossal structure lies a necropolis filled with mastabas, above-ground tombs constructed with flat roofs and rectangular layouts, traditionally made from limestone or mud brick. These tombs serve as the resting places for Khufu's family members and high-ranking officials from his reign. Most of the mastabas in this area were excavated during the 20th century, offering extensive knowledge about burial customs and architectural practices of the Old Kingdom. Yet, one specific area within the necropolis had remained curiously untouched. It lacked any notable surface-level features and had long been overlooked in favor of more visibly significant sites. Between 2021 and 2023, researchers from Higashi Nippon International University and Tohoku University in Japan, in collaboration with Egypt's National Research Institute of Astronomy and Geophysics, decided to focus their attention on this vacant section. Instead of traditional excavation methods, the team opted for a high-tech, non-invasive approach, employing ground-penetrating radar and electrical resistivity tomography. These imaging technologies allowed the researchers to analyze what lay beneath the surface without disrupting the site. What they discovered was unexpected: a shallow, clearly defined L-shaped structure connected to a deeper, less understood form. The shallow structure appeared to be purposefully filled with sand, leading researchers to believe it may have once served as an entryway to something deeper. This entrance, measuring roughly 33 feet in length and buried around 6.5 feet below the surface, is unlike anything naturally occurring. The L-shape itself, according to the researchers, could not have formed through natural geological processes, suggesting deliberate human design. Beneath this entrance lies what the team has referred to as a highly resistive anomaly, indicating the presence of a deeper structure with unknown contents. The precise nature of this deeper structure remains unclear. It could be an empty chamber, or it might contain dense materials such as gravel, sand, or even hidden artifacts. Regardless, the discovery points strongly toward a man-made origin. Experts emphasize that while the findings are still in their early stages, they carry immense archaeological potential. The researchers state that the scan results support the possibility of archaeological remains buried in this section of the necropolis, and they argue for prompt excavation to further examine the purpose and contents of the structures. Excavations have since begun, led by Professor Motoyuki Sato of Tohoku University, a specialist in electromagnetic sensing. He remains confident that the geometry of the anomaly suggests it is not a natural feature and that it warrants serious investigation. The Giza Plateau has long fascinated scholars for its architectural sophistication and enduring mysteries. While the discovery of mastaba tombs with subterranean chambers is not unusual for the area, the placement and structure of this particular anomaly stand out. Most mastabas are accompanied by visible surface markers, but this anomaly lies beneath an area previously regarded as unremarkable, raising questions about why it was built there and what it might contain. Peter de Manuelian, a noted Egyptologist from Harvard University who is not involved in the study, commented on the unusual nature of the structure. He acknowledged that while L-shaped offering chapels have been found in Giza, they are typically constructed above ground. The presence of such a shape buried beneath the surface, with no external tomb marking its location, is unprecedented and increases the intrigue surrounding this discovery. This investigation adds another layer of complexity to the already rich tapestry of Giza's archaeological record. As scientists continue to peel back the layers of time, using modern technology to glimpse into ancient practices, discoveries like these challenge long-held assumptions and offer tantalizing possibilities. It's the winter of 1978 in the American Midwest, and Stephen Kubaki, a student from Hope College, is taking advantage of the last days of February before spring begins to go skiing. He leaves his student digs to go on a solo cross-country skiing trip. Kubaki was an accomplished outdoorsman who climbed mountains in Europe and was an avid cross-country skier. Familiar with the area, this was an ordinary weekend pursuit for Kubaki and to those at college who knew him. However, this small excursion would end up being far from ordinary. Several days later, the alarm was raised when Kubaki failed to return from what should have been a day's activity. At the same time, snowmobilers on the southeastern shore of Lake Michigan had come across a set of abandoned skis and ski poles. The police knew immediately who they belonged to. A search party was sent out, utilizing both land and air rescue, with helicopters and locals deployed to find Stephen. Only 2 more things were subsequently discovered: Stephen's backpack and his footprints in the deep frozen snow. However, there was something off about the scene. The backpack looked as if it had been abruptly thrown to the ground, and the heavy footprints disappeared into nothingness, as if Kubaki had walked out of reality. Looking to close off the case with a sense of logic, police figured a more rational explanation. Close to the shores of frozen Lake Michigan, Stephen must have removed his skis and wandered too close to the water, falling through the ice and drowning in the watery depths below. His friends grieved, his family mourned, and life returned to normal as the months passed by. That is until, 15 months later, Stephen Kubaki walked straight through the door of his family house, over 500 miles away. Stephen told his recollection of events as best he could. That day, May 5, 1979, he woke up on a grassy knoll in Massachusetts, some 700 miles due east from where he disappeared. He was wearing clothes that were not his, had items such as maps and signs that were neither his nor written by him, and he had no concept of the amount of time that had passed. It was only when he was able to purchase a newspaper he would realize that he had re-emerged to consciousness 15 months later than when he first set off. The last thing he remembered before this was striding forwards on his skis, and he made his way around Lake Michigan. Before he knew it, however, he experienced a momentary blip, being enveloped in a cold and frozen darkness that hurried him from one point to another, which felt like he was running. Aside from this, he had no other details to give. And yet the mystery of what happened that day in February 1978 was perhaps less about Kubaki and more about where he was. Urban myths run rife that Lake Michigan is home to cross-dimensional disappearances, and oddly enough, it's not just Kubaki who went missing in this area. Ships, planes, and other people have all disappeared, and for whom there was never any trace of again. As of today, Kubaki's disappearance and reappearance remain a mystery. The mysterious phone call and disappearance of Brandon Swanson. In the early hours of May 14, 2008, Brandon Swanson, a 19-year-old student from Minnesota, vanished without a trace after calling his parents for help following a minor car accident. What began as a routine call for assistance soon turned into a baffling mystery that has perplexed investigators, haunted his family, and captivated those who have followed the case. Despite extensive searches and numerous theories, the disappearance of Brandon Swanson remains unsolved, leaving behind a series of questions that may never be answered. On May 14, 2008, Swanson embarked on a celebration with friends to mark the conclusion of that year's classes. That evening, he participated in 2 local meetings. The first one took place in Lind, which is close to his home in Marshall. The second event was in Canby, around 35 miles away from his home. Swanson departed from Canby after midnight to drive home, a journey he often undertook as part of his daily commute to and from school. However, on that particular night, rather than opting for the most efficient route between Canby and Marshall, which is Minnesota State Highway 68, Swanson decided to go through less traveled rural farmland roads, possibly with the intention of evading law enforcement. Regardless of his motives, he quickly encountered difficulties. Swanson's vehicle swerved off the road and ended up in a ditch adjacent to an agricultural field. Due to the high position of the car's wheels, it was unable to gain sufficient traction to reverse out of the ditch. At approximately 1:54 in the morning, Swanson contacted his parents to request transportation back to his residence. He informed them that he was in close proximity to Lind, around 10 minutes away from their residence in Marshall. Swanson's parents departed to retrieve him, maintaining their connection to the conversation while driving. However, upon arrival, they encountered only complete darkness. Emotions escalated into the early hours as irritations intensified. Swanson terminated the call at a certain moment. Upon receiving a call from his mother, Swanson's parents were informed that he would just retrace his steps towards his friend's residence in Lind. Swanson's father left his wife at home and proceeded towards Lind, maintaining a phone conversation with his son. While traversing through the darkness, Swanson proposed that his parents rendezvous with him in the parking lot of a renowned nightclub in Lind. He then opted to take a more direct route by traversing a field. Swanson's father perceived the sound of his son's footsteps, but immediately after this, the phone call ended. It would be the final utterance that anyone heard from Brandon Swanson. Despite his parents' persistent attempts to reach him, Swanson's phone constantly redirected their calls to voicemail. Throughout the entire night, Swanson's parents, along with assistance from his friends, fruitlessly combed across the vast expanse of gravel roads and farms in the rural area. At 6:30 the following morning, Annette, Brandon's mother, contacted the Lind Police Department to inform them that her son was not present. The police stated that Swanson, being a teenage college student, was not unusual for a young adult to be out all night after completing college classes. As the passage of time continued without Swanson's reappearance, local law enforcement personnel ultimately joined the search and then called for a search response over the entire county. Swanson's phone remained operational, and law enforcement used triangulation to determine the precise location of his final call by identifying the closest mobile tower. Porter was located approximately 20 miles from Swanson's original location. The police focused their search efforts to the vicinity surrounding Porter, and later that day, they discovered Swanson's green Chevy Lumina sedan. The vehicle was trapped in a trench located on Lyon-Lincoln Road, namely between Porter and Taunton. However, law enforcement officials could not discover any evidence of criminal activity or the presence of Swanson. A comprehensive search, utilizing police canines, aerial surveillance, and a large number of volunteers, commenced. The canine team guided officers approximately 3 miles away from the ditch to the Yellow Medicine River, which was running with great speed and volume before the scent of Swanson was no longer detectable. Swanson's personal belongings or clothing were not found along the route to the river or within the 2-mile section of the river, which typically takes approximately 6 hours to traverse. During a span of 3 weeks, search and cadaver dogs were unable to locate any items or remains. Swanson had mysteriously disappeared into the remote agricultural areas and secondary highways of Minnesota. In late 2008, Emergency Support Services, a search and rescue organization headquartered in Minneapolis, designated a specific area of 140 square miles as their primary target for search operations. Nevertheless, several farmers declined to grant access to search hounds on their property, especially during the periods of planting and harvest, resulting in substantial gaps in the search for Swanson. The problem continues unabated up until the present time. While others speculate that Swanson may have fallen into the river and been carried away by the current, investigators consider this scenario doubtful due to the fact that his body was never found. In a similar manner, if Swanson had accidentally fallen into the river, successfully made his way back to solid ground, and eventually passed away from hypothermia, a trained dog that detects humans would probably have picked up on his odor. According to news outlets, Swanson's mother expressed skepticism regarding this outcome, as a tracking dog had traced Swanson's smell from his car to an abandoned farm over a lengthy gravel path. The trace, which spanned a distance of 3 miles, also extended to the river. At first, the dog sprang into the water, then promptly returned to land and proceeded to follow another gravel route until it could no longer detect Swanson's scent. In autumn 2021, the Yellow Medicine River experienced desiccation due to a severe drought, prompting law enforcement to conduct an unfruitful excavation. The case of Swanson has not gone cold due to the ongoing receipt of tips by law enforcement. As of right now, no tangible evidence pertaining to Brandon Swanson has been found, such as his mobile phone, car keys, or clothing. Consequently, his parents are left just with recollections and the haunting memory of his final phone conversation. The mysterious disappearance of Brian Schaffer. Brian Schaffer, a 27-year-old medical student at Ohio State University, disappeared on April 1, 2006, after being recorded by surveillance cameras entering the Ugly Tuna Saloona. Brian Schaffer, a second-year medical student at Ohio State, had a promising future. However, everything took a different turn when a night out to commemorate the start of spring break resulted in his sudden vanishing. Brian Schaffer mysteriously disappeared after casually visiting many bars with his flatmate in the presence of numerous bar patrons shortly before 2 a.m. Schaffer expressed to his peers that his true aim was to establish a musical group. He was attracted to the tropical lifestyle associated with Jimmy Buffett and had such a strong admiration for Pearl Jam that he got their insignia permanently inked on his bicep. He encountered his girlfriend, Alexis Wagoner, in 2006. Additionally, she was a second-year student at medical school. The individuals in the couple's inner circle were under the impression that he intended to propose to her during their scheduled spring break vacation in Miami, which occurred shortly before Schaffer went missing. In 2006, Brian Schaffer's family experienced their first loss when his mother succumbed to bone cancer. On March 31, 2006, Brian Schaffer and his roommate William Clint Florence went to the Ugly Tuna Saloona pub in Columbus's University District to relax after their spring finals. At approximately 10 in the evening, Schaffer contacted his girlfriend to verify their travel plans and express his affection for her. Following the consumption of alcoholic drinks at the Ugly Tuna, the two individuals leisurely walked to the Arena District and short north. There, they encountered Meredith Reed, a friend of Florence's, who kindly volunteered to provide transportation back to the Ugly Tuna. According to the security tape outside the Ugly Tuna, it was determined that all 3 individuals used the escalator to reach the bar's door on the 2nd floor around 1:15 in the morning. Schaffer inexplicably appeared outside before 2 in the morning and was observed engaging in casual conversation with 2 women in their 20s before disappearing. Florence and Reed attempted to contact him multiple times, but were unsuccessful, and subsequently returned home upon the closure of the bar. Throughout the whole weekend, Randy Schaffer and Wagoner made multiple attempts to contact him, but he did not respond to any of their calls. Brian failed to catch his flight on Monday morning. On that day, he was officially classified as a missing person. During the initial days of his absence, a maximum of 50 police officers conducted a search for him simultaneously. All of Schaffer's friends and relatives, with the exception of his flatmate who declined, were interrogated and successfully cleared lie detector tests. Curiously, the 2 women with whom he was observed conversing were not requested to undergo testing. According to reports, Wagoner made a daily attempt to contact him on his mobile, but it consistently remained unanswered and went directly to voicemail. However, on one particular night in September, his phone really rang 3 times. However, Schaffer's wireless provider said that the issue could have been caused by a computer malfunction. Furthermore, his phone lacked GPS capabilities, rendering its whereabouts indeterminable. However, a signal from the phone was identified at a cellular tower situated 14 miles northwest of Columbus. Despite the information available, The Columbus Police Department remained perplexed by the case of Brian Schaffer's disappearance, even though Eddie Vedder of Pearl Jam mentioned it during a show in Cincinnati. The conclusive video footage captured by the security cameras at the Ugly Tuna unequivocally depicted Brian Schaffer stepping away from the camera's view and then returning towards the door of the pub, after which he vanished completely. It is plausible that the cameras inadvertently failed to capture Schaffer's departure from the scene. However, one camera executed a continuous panning motion while the other was operated manually. In addition to another exit, the bar also had an exit that led to a disorderly construction site. Investigators then speculated whether Schaffer's disappearance was intentional. He had the option to alter his attire or depart by the exit that connected to the building site. However, Schaffer's family has consistently maintained that there was no reason for him to fabricate his disappearance. Furthermore, it appeared that he had a greater number of positive experiences to anticipate rather than to evade. When Brian Schaffer's credit cards, bank accounts, and cell phone were unused for over a year, his family started to doubt his survival. Schaffer's sole surviving family member is his younger brother, who is currently engaged in the ongoing effort to locate him. In 2020, a glimmer of hope emerged and quickly faded when a photograph of an individual, appearing to be an American guy living without a home in Mexico, surfaced and gained widespread attention due to his striking likeness to Schaffer. Following meticulous face analysis, the FBI concluded that it was not him. As of right now, Schaffer has not been seen or heard from since. Two huge cigar-shaped UFOs hovering above California. In the evening of December 23, 2020, residents of Orange County, a region in Southern California known for its sunny beaches and vibrant communities, were greeted with a sight that left many questioning their eyes and the boundaries of reality. During the night, two massive, bright, cigar-shaped objects were photographed, hovering silently in the sky above the county. The strange sighting, which quickly became the talk of the town, sparked a flurry of speculation, intrigue, and debate about what exactly these unidentified flying objects were and where they might have come from. The late night of December 23rd was unremarkable in many ways. However, as the night rolled in, several eyewitnesses noticed something highly unusual. Two enormous, cigar-shaped objects were suspended in the sky, shining brightly. The objects were described as long and cylindrical, with smooth surfaces and no discernible wings, tails, or engines. Witnesses quickly grabbed their cameras and phones to capture the strange phenomenon, resulting in a series of photographs that would soon circulate widely online. The images clearly showed the two objects hovering at a significant altitude, side by side, with a calm and steady presence. Unlike conventional aircraft, these objects emitted no sound, and their hovering behavior defied the laws of aerodynamics as understood by modern science. The sightings were reported by multiple individuals from different parts of Orange County, adding credibility to the accounts. People described a sense of awe and confusion, unsure of what they were witnessing, but certain that it was something out of the ordinary. As the morning progressed, the objects remained visible for some time before suddenly accelerating at incredible speeds, vanishing from sight as abruptly as they had appeared. The photographs taken by witnesses provide some of the most compelling evidence of the sighting. In the images, the two cigar-shaped objects stand out against the morning sky, their sleek, elongated forms unmistakably distinct from the clouds and other atmospheric features. The objects appear metallic, reflecting light in a way that suggests they are made of a material not commonly seen in conventional aircraft. Experts and enthusiasts alike have analyzed the photographs, looking for clues that might explain the nature of these objects. Some have pointed out that the cigar shape is a recurring theme in UFO sightings, often associated with large, advanced craft that are possibly of extraterrestrial origin. The fact that these objects were seen in tandem, hovering in close proximity to each other, adds another layer of mystery, suggesting a coordinated presence rather than random or isolated incidents. One of the most striking aspects of the photographs is the apparent size of the objects. Witnesses estimated that the UFOs were each several hundred feet in length, making them significantly larger than any known aircraft. Their sheer scale, combined with their silent hovering, challenges conventional explanations and points to the possibility that these objects were not of human origin. As news of the sighting spread, various theories emerged in an attempt to explain the phenomenon. The most common and immediate suggestion was that the objects were some form of advanced military aircraft, possibly undergoing secret testing. Given Orange County's proximity to several military installations and aerospace companies, this theory seemed plausible to some. However, the lack of visible propulsion systems, the silent operation, and the unprecedented speed at which the objects departed make this explanation difficult to accept. Another theory posited that the objects were drones, perhaps part of a large-scale operation or an elaborate hoax. However, the size and behavior of the objects make this explanation unlikely, as current drone technology cannot replicate the characteristics observed during the sighting. The possibility that the objects were atmospheric phenomena or optical illusions was also considered. Some skeptics suggested that the cigar-shaped UFOs could have been elongated clouds. However, this theory fails to account for the consistency of the sightings from multiple locations, the sharpness of the objects' outlines in the photographs, and their sudden, coordinated departure. For many, the most intriguing theory is that the objects were extraterrestrial in origin. The cigar shape, which has been reported in numerous UFO sightings around the world, is often associated with large interstellar craft. The idea that these objects could be visiting Earth, possibly observing or studying human activity, captures the imagination and aligns with the broader narrative of UFO sightings and encounters reported throughout history. The incident also highlights the importance of keeping an open mind when encountering the unknown. While it is easy to dismiss such sightings as mere illusions or misunderstandings, the consistent and credible accounts from multiple witnesses suggest that something extraordinary did occur that morning in Orange County. The Ilkley Moor Incident. Many have often referred to the Ilkley Moor incident as one of the most compelling pieces of evidence surrounding the claims of encounters with advanced beings. This is due, in part, to the photographic evidence that had been gathered of the event by the witness that claimed he had later been taken by the beings he had encountered. According to the report, a man by the name of Philip Spencer had moved to the West Yorkshire area after leaving his old job to be closer with his family. Prior to this move, Philip Spencer had worked as a police officer for more than 4 years and was more than respected as a hard-working and honest citizen. During his move to West Yorkshire, he had noticed a strange number of lights often seen in the fog. Many others would confirm their sightings of these strange lights as well, but would often retort that it was probably lights from airplanes flying around the military bases and airports nearby. These strange claims led Philip Spencer to buy a high-end camera at the time in the attempt to gather evidence of these foggy lights and look into the increasingly weird rumors being told throughout the area. As Philip Spencer then went out the next day in the early morning to capture some pictures, he began to notice that some strange figure was following him in the fog. He would then quickly snap a photo of the creature, only to find that it was a small humanoid, almost alien-like creature that had been running through the fog near him. Without thinking, he chased the entity until he noticed a large dome-shaped aerial craft lift from the ground near him and take off into the sky. It wasn't long before Philip Spencer then began running back into town, noticing that more than an hour had gone missing between his sighting of the craft and the moments shortly after it disappeared. Today, the picture taken proves to be one of the biggest pieces of evidence that the encounter was genuine. Additionally, many have claimed that the lost amount of time experienced by Spencer may have been an event that was later wiped from his memory after the encounter, shrouding that time in complete mystery. The mysterious Silbury Hill incident. Silbury Hill, situated in the county of Wiltshire, England, near Avebury, has long been associated with the extraordinary. Over time, it has garnered attention from enthusiasts and those captivated by the possibility of advanced life and supernatural phenomena. This notable hill, towering at an impressive height of 131 feet, was built by human hands, yet its purpose remains shrouded in mystery. Nevertheless, this mystery has not deterred people from speculating about its true nature, with some even positing that it possesses a mystical essence or conceals a hidden treasure within its ancient structure. The allure and intrigue surrounding Silbury Hill have grown exponentially, making it a fascinating subject for those who seek to delve into the realms of the unknown and expand their knowledge of the unexplained. In the summer of 2009, a police officer, who happened to be off-duty at the time, was driving along the A4 road, which offers a decent view of the mysterious Silbury Hill. It was early morning, just before dawn, when the officer's attention was drawn to what is commonly known as a crop circle. What caught the officer's curiosity was the fresh appearance of this particular crop circle, as if it had been recently formed. However, that was not the only unusual aspect of the scene. As the officer observed the mysterious crop circle, he noticed 3 exceptionally tall figures standing nearby. Cloaked in white garments, their faces hidden from view and adorned with long blonde hair, these figures piqued the officer's interest. At first, he dismissed them as investigators conducting a forensic examination, but as he approached, a distinct and bothersome buzzing sound reached his ears, impossible to ignore. Surprisingly, the figures seemed completely unfazed by this auditory disturbance. Undeterred, the officer ventured closer and even tried to communicate with the figures, calling out to them. However, his attempts went unnoticed. It was during this interaction, though, that the officer sensed something peculiar occurring within the boundaries of the crop circle. The strange buzzing emanated from within, and the crops within the circle swayed as if being moved by an invisible force, despite the absence of any noticeable wind in the surrounding atmosphere. This stark contrast, where everything outside the crop circle remained still, strongly suggested that something other than wind was responsible for the movement, perhaps an unidentified engine. Driven by curiosity, the officer mustered the courage to approach the figures, causing them to briefly turn their heads in his direction before vanishing into thin air with an uncanny supernatural swiftness that made it impossible for him to keep up. The perplexing buzzing sound, however, persisted. Faced with this unnerving situation, the officer decided it was best to retreat to the safety of his vehicle, succumbing to a sudden wave of apprehension. The summer morning encounter along the A4 road left the officer astounded by the fresh crop circle, the mysterious figures with their concealed faces, and the inexplicable buzzing sound resonating from within. It was an encounter marked by a sense of mystery and an eerie astonishment that lingered in the officer's mind, igniting a desire for answers to the puzzling phenomenon. In a scenario reminiscent of Shermer's case, the officer stationed at Silbury Hill underwent an agonizing headache that persisted throughout the entire day following his perplexing encounter. Filing a detailed report with his superiors, the officer's claims were not thoroughly investigated due to the fact that he was off-duty during the incident. Despite the absence of any additional eyewitnesses, or at least no individuals who came forward, peculiarly enough, there were other intriguing accounts from individuals who had observed an anomalous, unmarked helicopter hovering precisely at the same location where the officer first spotted the crop circle. This peculiar helicopter remained stationary for an uninterrupted 3-hour period before abruptly departing towards an unknown destination on the night following the officer's inexplicable experience. Although this correspondence is not an exact witness account, one can't help but question the likelihood of a mysterious and unmarked helicopter coincidentally appearing in the same vicinity. Is it merely an extraordinary coincidence or a subtle confirmation of the officer's exceptional encounter? This intriguing series of events raises intriguing questions and adds an unprecedented layer of complexity to the story. The mysterious encounter of Paul Parada. The September 2019 encounter with Paul Parada is a fascinating event that provides us with significant information on peculiar, pale-skinned humanoid beings that have apparently been coming to Earth for many years, possibly even centuries. The event in question happened in Bolivia's Amazon region, a location that has recently had a number of interesting UFO encounters. Parada, a 30-year-old paramedic, had selflessly volunteered in the region to offer medical aid to local firemen who had been injured by the devastating wildfires in the area. At approximately 11 in the evening, Parada was outside the medical tent where he was assigned. While engaged in the action, he abruptly became aware of somebody approaching him from the obscurity that enveloped their surroundings. He persisted in observing the figure, discerning more details as it approached. This figure was unusually tall and had unusually white skin. The individual was adorned with a glossy, single-piece azure ensemble embellished with silver stripes or lines, and possessed lengthy blonde tresses. For those who have extensively researched UFO encounters, it is evident that this description closely aligns with accounts of humanoid beings cited in the 1950s, commonly referred to as Nordic aliens by witnesses and researchers. The veracity of whether the figure Parada observed is indeed a Nordic alien remains uncertain, but it is undeniably an intriguing detail to acknowledge. The figure was only a few steps away from him, and Parada could see that he was holding a towel or blanket to his upper body or shoulder. He vocalized and inquired whether he required any assistance. To his astonishment, the individual responded fluently in Spanish, expressing his need for assistance due to his injuries. The mysterious individual entered the hospital tent, accompanied by Parada. Upon entering the tent, Parada inquired about the issue and the specific location of the figure's injury. Silently, the figure uncovered the towel he was clutching against his upper body, exposing a wide and deep wound on his side. While observing, he saw that despite the seriousness of the injury and the significant blood loss, none of it tainted the attire of the person. The material appeared to possess a remarkable resistance to blood, akin to that of waterproof fabric. While tending to the wound, he inquired about the cause of the damage from the individual. Surprisingly, rather than communicating verbally, he employed telepathy to directly transmit his thoughts into the other person's mind. He claimed to have been injured by a juvenile puma in the woodland. Observing the expression of astonishment and disbelief on Parada's countenance, the entity spoke with him once more via telepathy, reassuring him that there was no need for fear and guaranteeing his safety. The figure expressed gratitude to Parada for attending to the injury and stated that although feeling weakened, he was prepared to depart. He requested the young medic to accompany him outdoors, and the medic consented. Prior to their departure, the individual informed Parada that he should not be surprised by what he was about to witness. As Parada exited the medical tent, they were taken aback to witness a gigantic metallic disc-shaped entity suspended in the air at a close proximity, just a few feet over the ground. Beneath the spacecraft, there were two additional humanoid beings. However, these figures were shorter than the one the person had just attended to, and they had a pale green complexion instead of a white one. However, much more peculiar was the manner in which these figures exhibited motion. Parada remembered that they moved in a highly mechanized manner, resembling robots. Undoubtedly, the fact of whether they were machines or not is established. Nevertheless, there exist numerous documented instances of encounters with seemingly robotic extraterrestrial beings. Parada also remembered that when he observed these smaller images, he experienced a profound sense of apprehension, a sensation that he was unable to articulate. The humanoid was contacted by the figures and then departed with them. Prior to proceeding, he directed his attention towards Parada and explicitly referred to him by his name, a detail that Parada had not disclosed at any juncture of their interaction. Parada, feeling a combination of surprise and slight unease from the entire incident, went back into the medical tent without witnessing the figure's entrance or exit from the vessel. Parada would only disclose the encounter to his brother, who was also present in the same place for the same purpose, but otherwise, he would keep it to himself. Undoubtedly, he would assert that he experienced insomnia for several months following the occurrence, due to its profoundly bizarre nature. It is important to mention that Parada asserts that he kept a fragment of bandage that he used to heal the humanoid figure, which had blood on it. As far as anyone knows, no DNA testing has been conducted on this bandage. Nevertheless, if such testing was to happen, the encounter may swiftly become one of the most significant events in history. The identity, origin, and purpose of the humanoid being remain undisclosed. However, the account is quite fascinating. Although there are specific accounts of sightings with tall white humanoids in the 1950s, it is also worthwhile to consider the possibility that these beings may have been visiting our planet for an extended period of time. It is worth investigating the notion that these tall white humanoid beings have been visiting Earth not only since the 1950s, but possibly since ancient times. Some UFO researchers have suggested that it could be possible that the legends of angels in biblical texts are actually accounts of tall white humanoid creatures who visited humans in ancient times. These angels' descriptions strongly suggest the likelihood. They are frequently characterized as having luminescent white skin that emanated an ethereal radiance. They frequently wear vibrant and glossy attire. Moreover, they frequently exhibit, when viewed from a contemporary standpoint, the ability to utilize exceedingly sophisticated technology. An illustrative instance can be found in the narrative of the angels who visited Lot. They employed a certain apparatus to incapacitate a furious crowd that had encircled Lot's residence, where they were lodging. The meeting with Paul Parada is intriguing due to multiple factors. An essential aspect is the humanoid's injury, which necessitated aid. This indicates that these humanoids, regardless of their identity, are physical beings composed of flesh and blood. Moreover, it is crucial to note that they are highly susceptible to making mistakes. Considering this perspective, if certain studies are accurate, and the extraterrestrial beings visiting Earth harbor purposes that are decidedly detrimental to humanity, it is evident that humans possess the capability to resist and inflict harm onto these humanoid entities. Although it may not be a pleasant idea, if mankind were to be targeted in such an attack, it would be beneficial for us to be informed about it. However, there is scant evidence suggesting that these tall white humanoids possess any inclination to harm humanity. As of right now, these interactions with them frequently center on the exchange of information and even endeavors to enhance spiritual consciousness in those who come across them. If this scenario is true, and these aliens are actively seeking to aid humanity, then we must inquire as to their motivations and potential expectations in exchange. Ultimately, the incident involving Paul Parada remains inexplicable, just like the nature and motives of these tall, white humanoid entities. The fact that such an encounter occurred lately indicates that their presence still exists, and it is probable that other encounters and exchanges may occur in the future. The highway encounter. A mysterious encounter on a road in France during the mid-70s has remained a mystery for decades. On February 28, 1974, at approximately 5:30 in the morning, a 59-year-old unidentified individual was commuting to work on Highway 38 using a moped. He has undertaken this voyage on numerous occasions in the past. However, this adventure would be unique and unparalleled. While traversing a bridge spanning the River Thon, an unusual occurrence took place. Unbeknownst to him, he abruptly came to a halt and found himself stationary, perched on his moped on the side of the road. He had no recollection of applying the brakes or even reducing speed. He seemed to have transitioned from crossing the bridge to abruptly halting in a fraction of a second. However, the witness was particularly worried about the presence of two peculiar humanoids, whom he described as cosmonauts because of their huge helmets, standing in close proximity to him. Once again, similar to his inability to comprehend how he had halted, he had no recollection of the unexpected appearance of these two creatures. They simply materialized out of nowhere. Subsequently, he characterized them as bearing a striking resemblance to astronauts. In addition to the helmets that resembled each other, both individuals were dressed in a single-piece dark outfit like that of an astronaut. In addition, he remembered that there was an aperture on the helmet, which he presumed housed a tinted visor, as he was unable to see any facial features of the humanoids. During the ongoing peculiar meeting, the two humanoid beings started making gestures towards him, indicating that he should consume some food. As he maintained a motionless posture and gazed at them, obviously displaying a combination of fear and bewilderment on his countenance, the two entities shifted their attention towards each other and seemed to engage in communication. After a little period of time, one of the individuals extended his hand towards his back, possibly reaching inside a pocket or concealed bag that was not visible to the witness. Subsequently, he presented a compact square object that the witness would later recollect like a piece of chocolate, and once again indicated to him that he should consume it. Overwhelmed by fear, the witness reluctantly accepted the thing and inserted it into his mouth. He remembered that it had a texture that was more delicate than chocolate, even if it lacked flavor. Strangely, the two beings remained silent, gazing at him and patiently awaiting his completion of consuming the peculiar substance. After ingesting the substance, they distanced themselves from him and signaled that he was now free to continue his journey. Without delay, he ignited his moped and accelerated at maximum speed. Interestingly, when questioned by UFO investigators, he claimed to have no recollection of initiating the departure. He only remembered that shortly after the beings signaled for him to leave, he found himself rapidly driving down the road. It is debatable if he was unable to remember if he started running out of fear or if something similar to what he felt after crossing the bridge happened again. While conducting their study, UFO investigators managed to piece together a more comprehensive image despite the incomplete details provided by the witness. The thing that looked like chocolate would not affect the witness in any way, and what would probably surprise them the most was the reason the humanoids demanded that he consume it. Regrettably, he neglected to consult a medical professional after the incident, therefore preventing any opportunity for conducting medical examinations to determine the nature of the material. Investigators observed that as time passed following the incident, the witness became increasingly reluctant to discuss his peculiar encounter. Immediately after leaving the scene that morning, he felt a strong sense of relief to be free from the scenario. Upon his belated arrival at work, he was incapable of completing his shift due to his profound emotional distress. During his shift at work, after persistent inquiry from his co-workers about the cause of his concern, he disclosed to them what had occurred. Unsurprisingly, he faced skepticism from his co-workers, leading him to share the events with just a select few. Additional information, however, would continue to surface. While the witness and his family did not go back to the scene of the occurrence, several of his neighbors, upon finding out about the affair, chose to do so. To their astonishment, in the very spot where the witness said to have observed the peculiar vessel in the field, there were peculiar imprints or indentations, indicating the presence of a substantial object resting there. They would also remember that within an almost perfectly circular region, the grass had been entirely flattened to the ground. Upon interviewing the neighbors who had visited the supposed landing site, detectives deemed them to be trustworthy and dependable observers, and were certain that they had indeed witnessed what they asserted. Regrettably, when investigators arrived at the location, the depression had already disappeared. Ultimately, despite the consensus among investigators that an inexplicable event occurred on Highway 38 that evening, the nature of this event would remain an unsolved mystery. Investigators additionally succeeded in discovering more observations in the vicinity concurrent with the occurrence on Highway 38. Several days prior to this mysterious encounter, multiple individuals in the Les Routières region observed peculiar luminous red balls in the sky for a period of 10 days. Witnesses said to investigators that the spherical objects initially appeared on the slopes that provided a view of their residences. Subsequently, they would rapidly drop into the valley at a dangerously high speed, then ascend once more and ultimately vanish into the forest. Within a week, specifically on the evening of March 5th, another incident took place, once again on Highway 38. As per the report, Mr. Theaton and his wife were driving on the highway shortly before 8:30 in the evening when they observed a peculiar yellow cigar-shaped object flying through the air above a field located roughly 150 feet below them. Fascinated by the sight, Mr. Theaton parked the automobile on the side of the road to obtain a clearer view of the object. Initially, he believed that they had lost visual contact with it. Subsequently, around 20 seconds later, it reappeared within sight. Subsequently, he would remember that the entity seemed to have a length of approximately 50 feet and emitted no sound whatsoever. The object stayed visible for around 10 seconds before vanishing from their line of sight. The husband and wife would inform the local police about the sighting. Upon reaching the designated area, they were unable to discover any trace of the peculiar vessel. However, the next week, Mr. Theaton would observe yet another peculiar vessel. On this occasion, he was traveling in Étrépont when he observed a substantial, crimson, luminous being apparently suspended in a field by the side of the road. The object emitted a pulsating light at consistent intervals. Furthermore, he would make an endeavor to bring his vehicle nearer to the object, although on each occasion it would retreat and create further separation between them. Finally, after the flashing lights ceased, the witness continued driving. The Mabel White encounter. Mabel experienced at least one instance of being taken by an unseen force while operating her vehicle, during which she observed an unusual phenomenon in the sky. She remembers exiting the vehicle and standing on the street to see the peculiar airborne phenomenon, and this was shortly before her thoughts became empty. Subsequently, she became aware that she had returned to the car. Nevertheless, while glancing at her personal appearance, she observed an abundance of dirt covering her body, resembling the aftermath of traversing through exceptionally muddy terrain. She subsequently claimed that this was the reason she knew something physical and really genuine had occurred. She stated that considering that they were on pavement, there's no way they could have accumulated such a significant amount of dirt on themselves simply by stepping out of the car and looking up at the object. Subsequently, she became aware that she was encountering these peculiar occurrences with regularity. In addition, notwithstanding a nagging intuition that something was amiss, she subsequently found bruises scattered across her body in the days after the event. She stated that she is not being physically assaulted while she sleeps, as she would awaken if someone were to strike her with enough force to cause bruising. Mabel elaborated, saying that she had experienced this type of encounter before, and that these interactions were not frightening. However, she would admit that one particular component that frightened her was her lack of cognitive awareness regarding the events that had transpired. Furthermore, due to the extremely strange and surreal nature of the occurrences, she finds it difficult to express them in her thoughts. She explains that she had no previous experience or knowledge to understand these happenings, and initially, she had no clue about the reasons behind their occurrence. In addition, she expressed that upon uncovering the reality behind these peculiar occurrences, which left tangible evidence of their occurrence, she had a sense of tranquility. She further remarked that the realization that she had no control over the situation somehow made it more manageable. At this point, the interviewer suggests that it is like performing sorcery, to which Mabel agrees. The analogy to magic is intriguing, particularly when considering the possibility that if a highly developed civilization had encountered indigenous populations in ancient times, they would have perceived any kind of progress as magic to such an extent that they would have regarded these visitors as deities. Mabel stated that if it was their intention, they might seize control of this place now. Although she did not wish to, they desired to seize control by means of violence. She indicated that they had no inclination towards government control either. On the contrary, they desire individuals who are physically present and possess intellectual capacities that align with their desired actions for the general population. According to Mabel, that is the point at which we get involved. Mabel asserts that she not only personally believed in the existence of a hybridization program, but also claims that they explicitly communicated this information to her. She said that these extraterrestrial beings were actively collecting human eggs with the exclusive intention of producing a hybrid population. Despite her inquiries, the beings remained completely silent regarding the fundamental objectives of their actions, including the purpose and location of this hypothetical hybrid race. According to Mabel, they claimed to be trying to produce a population capable of living in both our atmosphere and their own. Moreover, it seemed that their endeavors to accomplish this had thus far been unsuccessful. It would be intriguing to learn both the process of creating these seeming hybrids and the subsequent testing and investigations being conducted. Mabel also mentioned that during one of her encounters, she distinctly remembered being shown a baby. Upon catching sight of the child, she instantaneously recognized him as her grandson. She remembered that despite his human appearance, she noticed a distinct form in his eyes that closely resembled those of aliens, albeit smaller in size. She requested whether she could take the child with her after realizing this, but was told no, as it would not be able to live in this atmosphere. An intriguing aspect of this situation is that numerous other women who have been taken multiple times have reported strikingly identical experiences. In the case of these women who are mothers, they have recounted instances of losing pregnancies and subsequently being presented with a child whom they instinctively recognized as their own, despite the infant appearing to be a combination of an alien and a human. The overall consensus from these stories suggests that these women were subjected to the implantation of a hybrid embryo. Subsequently, several months later, during a subsequent experience, the fetus was extracted and artificially nurtured to full term under the observation of extraterrestrial beings. Mabel recounted her grandmother's interactions, including numerous peculiar incidents that occurred in the 1930s. According to the testimony of Mabel's grandmother, she would regularly sit on the porch with her husband, Mabel's grandfather, and frequently observe peculiar lights that appeared to float over the oil wells in the vicinity. Furthermore, on numerous instances, they would witness the presence of what seemed to be young individuals adorned in white garments frolicking around the oil wells. Kim's mysterious encounter. Kim's mysterious experiences started when she was young. She stated that her ability to perceive and communicate with deceased individuals, or at the very least, individuals who were imperceptible to others. Kim frequently informed her mother about encountering mysterious individuals who communicated with her. However, she soon ceased discussing this matter when she recognized her difficulty in dealing with the peculiar and surreal aspects of these encounters. She deliberately allowed her mother to assume that the visits had ceased, while they had not. She remarked that she found the majority of these interactions to be incredibly spiritual and uplifting. Initially, she did not experience any apprehension or peril throughout these interactions. Nevertheless, as time passed, she gradually became aware of a sinister aspect to their behavior, which eventually instilled in her a feeling of apprehension and unease regarding the identity or nature of the individuals involved in these interactions. Notwithstanding her concern, she persisted in keeping the experiences to herself, as she did not wish to cause her mother to revert back to the anxious state she had previously been in. These interactions persisted from her early years into her adulthood. They would persist in being a blend of enlightenment and dread. Due to these meetings, she developed an interest in utilizing the therapeutic powers of crystals and their energies in her adult life. It was during one of these sessions that she encountered a very peculiar incident. Kim was using crystals in a healing session with a client when she suddenly saw a dark, menacing shape emerge from the wall. The shape advanced towards Kim's customer and positioned itself exactly above them. Kim swiftly glanced at her customer to ascertain their perception of the form positioned over them. However, it was evident from their facial expression that they were unable to do so. Despite being aware of the presence of an unknown entity that seemed to be watching them, she persevered with the session to the best of her abilities. It stayed in that location for a few minutes before calmly drifting away from them and then vanishing back into the same direction it had come from. Despite the unusual nature of the episode, which was already quite extraordinary given Kim's history of strange experiences, she did not experience any anxiety or see any danger while the form hung over them. However, this was not the only instance in which Kim saw mysterious, shadowy entities that seemed to materialize unexpectedly. Years later, she admitted that she frequently woke up in the middle of the night to see shadowy beings standing beside her bed, observing her. Over time, these figures would ultimately vanish. Although Kim expressed that she did not see any threat or malicious intent from them, these experiences frequently left her with a slight sense of unease. It is worth mentioning that many people who encounter these mysterious beings describe or remember encountering peculiar shadow-like figures, resembling the shadow people commonly associated with the paranormal realm. Kim had a growing sense that there were several encounters in her life that she couldn't remember, despite being able to recall many other incidents. After her husband's passing, this idea started to occupy her thoughts increasingly. Consequently, she eventually pursued hypnotic regression in an effort to access these potentially concealed memories. Suppressed memories, some of which date back to when she was just 6 years old, did indeed seem to come to light during these sessions. Upon regressing to that specific day, she vividly recollected it with meticulous precision. During hypnosis, she reported being positioned in a field with moderately tall grass. She donned a blue outfit and brown shoes, while before her stood what appeared to be a diminutive shed. At first, she declared that she was by herself. Subsequently, she became aware of the presence of peculiar humanoid figures positioned on both sides of her. She was directed to examine these data, and she complied. She stated that they were both elongated and slender, with notably elongated heads, and seemed to be unclothed. When prompted to provide additional details about them, she expressed uncertainty on their color, whether it be brown, yellow, or even gold. However, what she did remember was that they seemed to be internally illuminated. During this time, her recollections became fragmented and hazy, with memories appearing to her in a seemingly arbitrary and non-sequential manner. It seemed as though something had influenced her mind to remember things in a disoriented way. For instance, a dog abruptly appeared and ran in front of her. Nevertheless, although she had a clear visual perception of the animal, she possessed an intuitive understanding that it did not conform to the characteristics of a dog. Initially, the dog was situated at a considerable distance. Shortly thereafter, however, it was nearly adjacent to her, just slightly in front. Suddenly, it rapidly moved to a somewhat greater distance once more. Her vague recollections persisted. When prompted to provide a description of the animal and explain why she believed it was not a dog, she replied that a portion of her consciousness perceived it as a four-legged seal with exceptionally huge eyes. Kim continued to disclose information, asserting her total comprehension of these strange beings. Subsequently, she would articulate a highly precise statement, a sentiment that she believed, even while under hypnosis, required further elucidation. She asserted that these beings had been there with her since her inception, clarifying that she did not mean since her birth in this current existence, but since her genuine and ultimate origin. Furthermore, it is noteworthy that during this specific phase of the hypnosis session, she did not label these peculiar things as aliens or ghosts, but rather as luminous beings. According to her, these luminous entities would accompany her throughout numerous subsequent incarnations and manifest themselves in various guises. In addition, she expressed her conviction that there existed a myriad of infinite entities who kept a vigilant eye on her. Kim would uncover other recollections throughout the regression sessions, including her account of eternal companionship with luminous entities across various lifetimes. Prior to that, we shall thoroughly analyze the regression tapes. The focus of these sessions was not primarily on the revelations made by Kim, but rather on the unintentional recording of paranormal activity that occurred throughout the sessions, unbeknownst to both Kim and the person in charge. After a single session, Kim and the hypnotic regressor listened to the recorded tapes. Surprisingly, they both experienced intermittent occurrences of hearing peculiar things in the background, sounds that neither of them remembered hearing during the sessions. Kim would bring home duplicates of the regression records, and as she listened to them more, she began to discern increasingly peculiar sounds and noises in the background. At a certain point in the session, Kim was recounting an experience of concealing herself from an unknown and mysterious being when a peculiar clicking noise became perceptible. The clicking sound was so clearly apparent that Kim contacted the hypnotherapist to confirm that it was not her own pen clicking while she listened. She would personally listen to that specific section of the recording, distinctly perceiving the clicking sound, but confident that she was not the source of it, whether it be from a pen or any other object. Over time, Kim started to listen to the session tapes more frequently. Furthermore, her investigations into peculiar noises and sounds persisted as she maintained her efforts. Arguably, one of the most unsettling experiences was the auditory perception of what seemed to be someone exhaling heavily. The sound was in such close proximity that it created the illusion of an additional individual present in the room during the session. As she continued to listen, her conviction grew that these peculiar sounds were indeed deliberate efforts by something to establish communication with her. She not only suspected, but firmly thought that her subconscious mind was also conveying this information to her. It was as if she had a subconscious understanding of the unfamiliar language frequently heard on the cassettes, and she even suspected that her subconscious mind picked up sounds that her ears did not. Curiously, these insights only occurred to her as she was listening to the recordings. After interrupting them and continuing with her usual activities, she was unable to clearly remember what she had just heard. The 1997 Phoenix Lights Incident. The 1997 Phoenix Lights Incident stands as one of the most compelling and widely witnessed UFO events in modern history. On the evening of March 13, 1997, thousands of residents across Arizona, including those in the capital city of Phoenix, reported seeing an array of mysterious lights in the night sky. The event, which has since become a cornerstone in UFO lore, involved sightings of a massive, V-shaped formation of lights that moved silently across the state. Despite numerous eyewitness accounts and extensive media coverage, the incident remains shrouded in mystery, with debates continuing over whether the lights were the result of military exercises, an astronomical phenomenon, or something far more extraordinary. The initial documented observation of the specific evening occurred in Henderson, Nevada at approximately 7:55 in the evening on Thursday, March 13, 1997. As per the witness, a substantial V-shaped object with 6 prominent lights evenly distributed along its underside on the front edge flew above him. The item was approaching from the northwest and had a minimum size equivalent to that of a 747 aeroplane when it flew over him and continued towards the southeast. Many observed it for a few moments before it vanished from his sight beyond the horizon. The witness subsequently provided a meticulously documented and comprehensive report of the incident to the National UFO Reporting Center. It is important to mention that this is not an intentional attempt to gain attention or fame. The second sighting of the evening, widely acknowledged, took place around 8:15 in the evening in Paulden, Arizona, which operates on Mountain Time, an hour ahead of Pacific Time. A police officer asserted that he departed from his residence at this same moment, proceeded to enter his vehicle, and commenced driving in a northerly direction. While engaged in the activity, he glanced towards the western direction via his window and observed 5 reddish or orange lights in the early night sky. He would characterize the lights as a cluster of 4, with a 5th light following after. In addition, he would note that each of the lights exhibited 2 distinct point sources of orange light. The police officer promptly executed a U-turn and proceeded to return to his residence. Upon arrival, he strategically positioned himself in a location that provided an unobstructed view of the lights. He then observed them via a pair of binoculars. They ultimately disappeared beyond the southern horizon in a span of 2 minutes, with no audible noise. 20 minutes after the initial observation in Henderson, Nevada, and only 2 minutes after the sighting in Paulden, Arizona, there was a sudden surge of phone calls flooding the switchboards in both states. Telephone operators at the National UFO Reporting Centers and other UFO groups, as well as many police agencies, Luke Air Force Base, and various media outlets, would be inundated with reports from locals about unusual and extraordinary lights in the sky. Incidentally, these waves of calls, although they would gradually decrease in frequency after several hours, would persist for several days. While there were some discrepancies in the reports, prompting researchers to consider the possibility of multiple types of aircraft in the southwestern skies that evening, the majority of witnesses firmly believed that the lights were a distinct and solid object. This was evident from the fact that the object completely obscured certain sections of the stars as it moved. The majority of the initial influx of phone calls originated from regions located south of Paulden, specifically in Prescott and Prescott Valley, which are approximately 50 miles north of Phoenix. John Kaiser, a witness, would provide his report from Prescott Valley. While accompanied by his spouse and their 2 offspring, the individual became aware of a group of luminous objects in the atmosphere, positioned in the west-northwest direction relative to their current whereabouts. In addition, he would state that the lights were arranged in a clearly defined triangular formation. Nevertheless, he would assert that the lights exhibited a red hue, with the exception of the light situated at the center of the triangular vessel, which emitted a luminous white color. He and his family viewed the object for around 2 minutes using binoculars until it made a turn to the right and moved away from Prescott Valley in the direction of the southeast. A witness from Prescott reported another sighting, stating that they observed 5 yellow-white lights arranged in a V formation. They were relocating from the northwest to the northeast before veering slightly south and eventually disappearing from view. The apex of the V shape seemed to be located at the front of the aircraft. With respect to the lights themselves, the report would indicate that the first 3 lights were arranged in a relatively compact V shape. The remaining 2, nonetheless, were positioned farther towards the rear of the legs of the V formation. The object was visible for roughly 10 minutes. Despite the increasing number of sightings, one consistent aspect was the complete absence of any noise emitted by the massive object. Several witnesses explicitly emphasized this feature in their reports, noting that they made extra efforts to listen for any sound, but were unsuccessful. This fact, to a significant number of individuals, served as a clear indication that they were observing an event that was not typical or usual. A further account, for instance, originating from a location somewhat north of Phoenix, describes an aircraft in the shape of a wedge adorned with 5 luminous sources that exhibited an unusual gliding movement. The immense object obstructed a significant area of the celestial sky. Additionally, a mother and her 4 daughters reported another sighting. While traveling near Camelback Mountain, they observed a serpentine-shaped object suddenly appear in front of them. In addition, they would recount how the object obstructed a substantial portion of the sky above, while remaining suspended above them for approximately 5 minutes. Furthermore, it would emit an unusual white beam towards the ground, resulting in a little decrease in the brightness of its lights. Subsequently, it would proceed southward in the direction of Sky Harbor International Airport. Following the previous events, a noteworthy observation occurred in Dewey, Arizona at approximately 8:20 in the evening, about 10 miles south of Prescott. A vehicle occupied by a group of companions was traveling on Highway 69, proceeding in a northerly direction towards Prescott for a previously scheduled engagement. However, during their journey, they would observe a substantial aggregation of lights. This airborne anomaly exhibited a conspicuous and unmistakable V-shaped configuration in the atmosphere. The car's driver promptly halted the vehicle in the parking lot of a supermarket. All of the individuals exited the vehicle in order to obtain a clearer look of the object, which was now directly positioned above them. The witness, who possessed significant expertise in flying and aviation, said to the National UFO Reporting Center that despite clenching his fist and extending it to its full length, the object's colossal dimensions were such that it remained uncovered by his hand. In addition, he would approximate that the aircraft was at an altitude of less than 1,000 feet over the ground, and despite this proximity, it emitted no sound and moved at a significantly reduced speed. In addition, the witness reported observing a diminutive aircraft flying towards Prescott Airport during the event, which we shall revisit at a later point. Considering the witness's trustworthiness is reliable, it is noteworthy that he reported the occurrence to Prescott Airport and Luke Air Force Base. He asserted that he had conversed with a female operator at Luke Air Force Base. Additionally, this operator disclosed that they had received other reports of the same nature that evening. During the investigations that followed the sighting, the Air Force Base categorically refuted any reports that were received by the base. Additional reports from Phoenix citizens were submitted to other news sites and organizations dedicated to UFO research and investigation, such as the Mutual UFO Network. An unidentified witness reported observing lights arranged in a triangular configuration while walking in the vicinity of 42nd Street and Ray Road. He claimed that there were between 5 and 7 lights and that the thing traveled in a southward direction, starting from the north. As it distanced itself from his position, once again without emitting any sound, the lights gradually vanished in succession, as if being deliberately extinguished. However, this is one of the limited number of first reports that highlight this specific feature. Whether this was attributable to the witness's perspective or not is a subject of contention. At about the same time as the witness on 42nd Street and Ray Road, Bruce Gerbath would claim a similar sighting from Ahwatukee near South Mountain, which coincidentally houses multiple television transmission towers. According to him, at approximately 8:30, there was a peculiar object in the sky with 5 amber lights arranged in a triangular pattern. The thing was moving steadily at a pretty high altitude. From his perspective, he would assert that the 5 lights were unequivocally components of a unified and cohesive framework. While Gerbath was walking, he stayed in the park for an additional hour after he saw something, before heading back home. Upon doing so, he once again observed the amber lights. On this occasion, they emerged from the west-southwest and looked to establish themselves in the vicinity of the Estrella Mountains. He was convinced that this was the identical object from before. News outlets reported that a pilot departing from Sky Harbor International Airport would notify the control tower about unusual lights observed above. Nevertheless, they would assert that they were unable to detect any anomalous behavior on their radar equipment. A different woman, located in Chandler, which is situated to the southeast of Phoenix, reported that her 9-year-old daughter witnessed a mobile beam of light traversing across her bedroom. Don and his wife, Grace, also observed this item as it flew over their homes, corroborating the witness's account. They reported observing 7 orange lights arranged in a triangle pattern on the lower side of a solid building composed of sizable grey panels. While observing, one of the lights disengaged and shifted towards the right side of the object. Subsequently, it returned and reconnected with the colossal spacecraft. Despite the craft's low altitude and massive size, they also could not hear any sound. It is possible that these separate lights were individual vessels. There is a possibility that a sighting reported by truck driver Bill Greiner supports this claim. While driving on Interstate 17 towards a cement plant near Luke Air Force Base, he observed two vivid orange lights in the sky. Upon nearing his intended location, he also observed three fighter aircraft hastily departing from the nearby airbase. They were approaching one of the objects, which he approximated to be approximately 1 or 2 miles away. He would characterize the things as resembling gondola-less hot air balloons, emitting a yellow-orange glow from their interiors. The closest sphere instantly soared straight upward and disappeared, disappearing as the jets passed by, as if it had never existed. The second orb remained still and soundless in the far distance. The witness was willing to undergo a polygraph examination. As the situation progressed, with an increasing number of calls and reports coming in rapidly, the exact time frame became somewhat less apparent. Reports would be received from various regions throughout Nevada, with a particular emphasis on Arizona, from Tucson, Kingman, Glendale, Tempe, Scottsdale, Gilbert, Chino Valley, and Phoenix. Nevertheless, a few of them continue to distinguish themselves from the others. For instance, a novice astronomer residing on the western side of Phoenix would observe the celestial object from his residence towards the west. He described the object as a group of stationary lights that moved in a consistent manner from the north to the south. Similar to the account provided by the police officer from Polden, he saw that each of the lights seemed to consist of two separate tiny lights. Curiously, he also asserted to have observed two smaller aircraft in close proximity to the enormous object. One of these would diverge towards the east, while the other would diverge towards the west. An additional complaint, originating from Tucson, was provided by an unidentified individual who asserted to have observed an anomalous arrangement of luminous objects for around 15 minutes, spanning from 8:45 to 9. The lights approached from the northwest, traversed above him, and subsequently vanished beyond the adjacent mountain range. From their Phoenix residence, the Lay family, Tim and his wife Bobby, their son Hal, and their grandson saw the lights as well. Nevertheless, they would observe their arrival from a distance of more than 60 miles when they passed over Prescott Valley. Initially, the lights seemed to be distinct beings in and of themselves. As they approached, their formation gradually transformed into a clear V-shape. They were clearly components of the identical, sturdy, and immense vessel. Regardless of any potential relationship to the peculiar aircraft observed on March 13, 1997, it is worth noting a peculiar sighting above the neighboring Gila River in relation to the Phoenix Lights incident. William Hamilton, a field investigator for the Mutual UFO Network, was informed by a colleague about a resident named Steve who resided in Ahwatukee, a location near the South Mountain. Based on the available information, Steve has been recording video footage and documenting the occurrence of peculiar orange lights that were observed over the Gila River, and had been doing so continuously for several days, starting from the 10th of March. On the 13th of March, Hamilton would depart to have a conversation with Steve, just a few hours before the Phoenix Light events were about to occur. He would have a meeting with him, and although they had seemingly not seen the lights that evening, they did see enough of video footage of them. However, shortly before 10 in the evening, while positioned on Steve's balcony, one of the peculiar lights reappeared abruptly above the expanse of ocean. Altogether, the two Mutual UFO Network investigators observed a total of 6 yellow-orange light orbs. Although the sighting, along with the ones documented by Steve on prior evenings, may appear coincidental, it is somewhat implausible to believe that there is no remote correlation to the events occurring in the sky of Phoenix simultaneously. One of the most captivating aspects of the entire incident was the assertions of multiple witnesses who reported sighting small aeroplanes during the duration of the sightings. Based on sources, the aircraft in question were F-15 fighter jets belonging to the United States Air Force. As per a detailed report submitted to the National UFO Reporting Center, these aircraft were intentionally sent on an intercept mission from Luke Air Force Base. After the initial flurry of phone calls subsided, although they persisted steadily for a significant duration, a prolonged phone call was received from an individual asserting to have observed the planes being scrambled. Based on the provided information, the purpose of the jets was to intercept the object, which they successfully accomplished above Phoenix, and capture photographs of it using their onboard gun cameras. Upon accomplishing this, the jets promptly returned to Luke Air Force Base. The unidentified caller seemed to have an authoritative origin, providing the names and ranks of the officers involved in the mission, along with specific times and takeoff information. According to the caller, the base was shut down during the operation. A single jet successfully approached the object to a distance of 1 mile before its targeting radar was rendered ineffective, perhaps due to the peculiar nature of the ship. The National UFO Reporting Center concluded that while the intelligence seemed highly believable, they were unable to verify any of the facts, resulting in the pilots' names remaining undisclosed. Luke Air Force Base refutes the claim that any such mission occurred. What added to the intrigue was a subsequent phone call from the unidentified caller. Evidently aware of his revelation, he promptly notified the National UFO Reporting Center that he had been relocated to a position in Greenland with immediate effect. Based on their reports, there has been no communication from him since then. The flare theory. Although numerous sightings were reported throughout the evening of March 13, 1997, the most contentious piece of footage, which the military from Luke Air Force Base used to explain the sightings, was captured between 9:30 and 10 to the south of Phoenix. Multiple video recordings were available from the sighting, and a substantial number of individuals observed the incident firsthand. The Air Force Base representatives would assert that the sighting in question was just flares deployed from their A-10 Warthog aircraft in the vicinity of the Gila Bend Barry M. Goldwater firing range. The military asserted that these flares were deployed between 9:30 and 10. They were characterized as slow-descending, long-lasting illumination flares. According to their assertion, they seemed to hover as a result of the increasing temperature of the flares. Subsequently, they descended below the Sierra Estrella mountain range located to the south of the city. Although there are still some that hold onto this proposition from the airbase, it is not truly feasible. Assuming that the military's claim about the timing of the flares is accurate, it fails to explain the sightings that started at 7:55, which is over an hour earlier. Furthermore, it fails to elucidate the movement of the lights. In addition, it fails to elucidate the distinct characteristics of clusters of lights compared to the V-shape, which is perhaps the most renowned aspect of the occurrence. Essentially, the official explanation is not credible. Curiously or not, the mountain range where the lights vanished, Sierra Estrella, is translated as Star Mountain. We will revisit this final issue at a later time. The governor's response. Fife Symington served as the governor of Arizona during that period. Following the sightings, he promptly organized a news conference during which he presented an extraterrestrial being at the stage. According to him, it was an effort to alleviate the increasing strain of the situation. A significant number of individuals expressed dissatisfaction with the decision, sensing that Symington was deriding and disregarding their observations. He would later apologize for the incident in 2007, saying that his motives were noble but flawed. He would also confess that he witnessed more than he initially claimed to have seen on the night in question. In addition, behind the scenes, officials were equally alarmed and perplexed, just like everyone else. He would assert that he'd seen a colossal vessel that was evidently a highly durable construction. Symington would say that he had sneaked out in his own car that night to see what the others were examining. Upon his arrival at home, his wife asserted that he appeared pallid and unwell. He would assert his ignorance regarding what he had witnessed, but he had no intention of discussing it. He strongly insists that the craft was not of military origin. During an interview in 2014, when questioned about the matter, he asserted that the immense dimensions of the vehicle alone ruled out the possibility of it being a classified military aircraft. He would additionally assert that it was the largest object he had ever witnessed in the atmosphere. It is worth mentioning that Symington is a former aviator with expertise in flying. He would deduce that unless the US military could present evidence to the contrary, the sighting that evening was very probable to be a technologically sophisticated extraterrestrial vessel. Dr. Kitte, while she retained memory of the event, did not witness any further luminous phenomena resembling the peculiar incident in 1995. However, everything changed on the evening of January 22, 1997. From a comparable vantage point within her residence, she observed 3 amber orbs aligned in a row on the horizon, appearing to float above the city. The following evening, she would once again witness the illumination in front of South Mountain. She confidently asserted their location, standing in front of the red, blinking warning lights strategically placed to alert pilots of its existence. The lights would vanish quickly, after Kitai attempted to capture them on film. Nevertheless, approximately 30 minutes later, they would resurface. She swiftly moved towards the balcony. Just as she was about to capture an image, an additional set of 6 amber lights materialized above the initial 3. The formation closely resembled the peculiar lights observed on March 13, 1997. Identical linear arrangement, identical luminous orange hue, and identical triangular shape. Speaking with the Federal Aviation Administration and Luke Air Force Base, among other departments, Kitai would report the occurrence. Both parties would affirm the absence of any documentation of the sightings, and subsequently, during the course of the investigations, there was no evidence of her phone call. Despite the absence of any further occurrences, it seems that the unidentified objects that flew over Nevada and Arizona in March 1997 had already been present in the same area of the United States at least 2 months before to that. The mystery of Stardust Ranch. Nestled in the remote desert landscape of Rainbow Valley, Arizona, lies a property that has become infamous in paranormal circles, Stardust Ranch. For years, this seemingly unassuming ranch has been at the center of some of the most bizarre and unexplained phenomena reported in the United States. From alleged encounters with mysterious beings to strange disappearances, Stardust Ranch has earned its place in the annals of modern paranormal lore. John and Joyce Edmonds initially relocated to the huge 10-acre estate in 2009. Nevertheless, the couple's supposed dream home swiftly immersed them in a realm of peculiar and unsettling occurrences. Initially, John and Joyce would perceive peculiar noises emanating from the vicinity of their property during the night, which they initially attributed to the nocturnal sounds of the surrounding desert. Shortly thereafter, they also started witnessing peculiar, mobile, luminous phenomena in the atmosphere. Upon observing unsettling people loitering on the perimeter of their property, they became aware of an entirely extraordinary occurrence. Upon awakening, they saw that their garden furniture had been relocated and on one occasion, unceremoniously thrown into their swimming pool. One evening, while outside their property, they observed movement at a short distance within their bounds, which they promptly identified as an unusual person. Nevertheless, when directing their attention on the figure, they observed that it lacked human characteristics, primarily due to its disproportionately large head in relation to its slender body, as well as its enormous black eyes. The thing swiftly vanished into the darkness, marking the beginning of a series of similar sightings of these peculiar beings. Furthermore, the circumstances were on the verge of deteriorating much further. Shortly after becoming aware of these peculiar animals observing them, the Edmonds started discovering their horses deceased, exhibiting identical injuries and meticulous incisions reminiscent of cow mutilation incidents. Even some of the pets owned by the couple met similar violent fates. At this point, the Edmonds became aware that a very horrible situation was occurring in their surroundings. Although the happenings had previously been confined to areas outside their property, the couple soon started hearing peculiar sounds and activity just outside their residence. During an evening, while the two individuals were seated inside their rural residence, one of the beings briefly materialized at the window, seemingly observing them. However, their suspicions were aroused when they started noticing peculiar bruises and what seemed to be needle scars on their bodies, leading them to believe that these seemingly extraterrestrial beings were infiltrating their home during their sleep. John Edmonds reported that he personally observed his wife levitating out of their bed, exiting via the front door and floating into the garden where a hovering spacecraft was waiting. John's final recollection was witnessing his wife being seemingly lifted into the awaiting truck. Upon encountering his wife the next morning, he observed that she still bore the identical bruises they had initially observed upon their arrival at the ranch, along with the visible markings on her skin. By this point, John firmly believed that both his wife and probably himself were being repeatedly taken by advanced beings. With each subsequent encounter, he observed and recorded increasingly intricate details about these inquisitive critters. John Edmonds firmly believes that these phenomena are beings not of this world, infiltrating our world from another dimension. He observed that these beings typically appeared with a high-frequency buzz. He explained that he believed this buzzing sound was a result of their travel, which involved partial in-phase or out-of-phase movement. He asserts that these creatures manifest in this manner as a response to potential threats, and their physical presence is limited to the point of crossing the boundary between dimensions. Furthermore, he explains that the buzzing sensation occurs at a quantum level, as these creatures exist partially in both dimensions simultaneously. In contrast, in the absence of any perceived risk, they would seamlessly transition from one dimension to another. This provided an ideal chance to physically seize one of them, as they would promptly retreat to their own dimension as soon as they detected any form of threat. Over time, the occurrence of these alleged incidents was indicated by the emergence of further abrupt bruising and scratch marks and the ongoing presence of the entities in the vicinity of the property. John reached the conclusion that he needed to protect his possessions, his wife, and himself. Upon their reappearance, he swiftly retrieved the samurai sword that he had stored above the fireplace and employed it on the thing. After implanting the weapon into the creature's flank, he proceeded to extract it in order to sever the head. Nevertheless, much to his astonishment, the lifeless corpse disappeared directly in front of him. According to his theory, since the entity was still alive, if barely, when he removed the sword, it would have had the ability to mentally transport itself back to its own dimension. John proposes that the creature's head governs the capacity to manipulate the transfer of dimensions between different locations. He also suggests that removing the head may lead to the body persisting in our realm even after death. Not only would this provide conclusive evidence of the existence of such beings, but it would also be extremely helpful for scientific research, regardless of any potential controversy. Despite the disappearance of the creature's body, John possessed blood and tissue samples on the blade that he intended to analyze. John stated that the analysis revealed that the samples were unfamiliar to the field of science and definitively not of human origin or belonging to any recognized animal species. However, skeptics of the case would point out that the individual, W.C. Levengood, whom John said conducted the analysis, mysteriously vanished shortly thereafter, along with the samples. Overall, John asserted that he had eliminated about 20 of these extraterrestrial beings while residing at the ranch, even asserting that he had sustained injuries during several confrontations. Due to the increasing frequency of the attacks, John started discussing them on social media, where he even shared photographs of the injuries he claimed to have sustained, including one of the creatures responsible. During this period, John Edmonds asserted that he had encountered individuals whom he could only characterize as the Men in Black. Subsequent to openly discussing their experiences, the Edmonds quickly became the subject of numerous media articles and even televised shows. Some found this to be slightly surprising, and it definitely raised doubts about the reliability of the reports. While many suspected that the couple's statements were for attention or that they both might have mental health issues, some had a more sinister theory. Edmonds' claims offer a wealth of material for examination. If the rumors about Stardust Ranch are genuine, and it is as active as the Skinwalker Ranch in Utah, then studying it would undoubtedly enhance our comprehension of the paranormal and our shared reality. Undoubtedly, an examination of this apparently comparable ranch could reveal correlations or trends that would enable investigators to gain a deeper comprehension of the paranormal and frequently unsettling events occurring in both places. As many UFO researchers have pointed out, Edmonds' assertions are not devoid of debate, even within the wider UFO community. Arguably the most contentious among these assertions, particularly in terms of believability, is that these peculiar beings vanish after being taken out, or at the very least, injured. These claims are advantageous for skeptics, regardless of their veracity. Nevertheless, it is not an exceedingly uncommon concept. There are numerous accounts of close encounters when it is reported that these extraterrestrial entities have the ability to abruptly disappear, seemingly teleporting from one location to another. According to an anonymous source, there have been numerous reports of unidentified objects over the city of Smolensk in Russia. According to reports from officials, a minimum of 3 unidentified flying objects were successfully intercepted and brought down in the vicinity of Sevastopol. The group known as Anonymous, a mysterious and anonymous collection of digital activists renowned for their endeavors to combat corruption and safeguard transparency, has recently made public a perplexing message. In this cryptic announcement, They have pledged to disclose astonishing revelations concerning the alleged involvement of the Russian government with 3 unidentified objects that were purportedly brought down within Russian territory. The news rapidly circulated throughout the online realm, sparking extensive discussions and arguments in every nook and cranny of the world. According to the group, the incident reportedly took place on November 17th, involving Russian jets allegedly taking down 3 unidentified objects. This occurrence, which has been a subject of speculation and controversy, has attracted significant attention and scrutiny. Anonymous, a renowned online activist group, recently made headlines by unveiling a collection of meticulously encrypted documents alongside compelling first-hand accounts. According to their assertions, the evidence strongly indicated the presence of not just 1, but 3 enigmatic aerial vehicles that had successfully breached Russia's airspace, resulting in their engagement by the country's armed forces. The provided documents provided a comprehensive range of evidence, including radar data, audio communications, and photographs, all of which seemed to lend credibility to the remarkable narrative. The disclosure provided fascinating information, exposing the fact that these mysterious objects displayed flight capabilities that surpassed anything currently within the realm of human technological knowledge. The way they moved was highly unpredictable and seemed to violate the fundamental principles of physics, captivating even the most experienced fighter pilots with their awe-inspiring and seemingly impossible maneuvers. Given that the information has only been disclosed today, there has been a lack of response from Russian authorities regarding this issue. During this enigmatic occurrence, various individuals and organizations committed to the study of unidentified flying objects arose and took action to meticulously examine the evidence put forth by the enigmatic group known as Anonymous. An international team of researchers embarked on an in-depth analysis of the event, meticulously dissecting every aspect and corroborating the accounts provided by multiple eyewitnesses. After consulting a diverse group of experts, a consensus was reached regarding the intriguing evidence that emerged, reflecting a blend of compelling and perplexing elements. This evidence not only captivated their attention, but also presented tantalizing clues that invite further exploration into the possibility of advanced life. According to a single witness, there were 3 luminous entities observed in the sky, with the additional mention that they were eventually intercepted and eliminated by military jets. This account implies a significant event involving unidentified aerial phenomena, as reported by the eyewitness. Many individuals who were doubtful remained unconvinced, putting forth the notion that the objects in question might, in fact, be unmanned aerial vehicles, commonly known as drones. Throughout the passage of time, a multitude of sightings and experiences have been documented, veiled in a cloak of secrecy and doubt. In this pursuit of unraveling the enigma surrounding unidentified flying objects, the emergence of Anonymous, a loosely connected group of digital activists, has taken on an unforeseen role. In its essence, Anonymous has consistently been motivated by a dedication to openness, responsibility, and the relentless quest for authenticity. The fundamental principles that fuel this decentralized collective lie in its unwavering commitment to revealing the truth, holding those accountable for their actions. The history of the collective is characterized by extensive campaigns aimed at challenging government secrecy, exposing corporate corruption, and addressing various instances of abuses. When it comes to unidentified flying objects, Anonymous identifies a comparable degree of concealment and confusion employed by governments and various organizations. Through diligent investigation and the dissemination of knowledge pertaining to unidentified flying objects, the renowned collective known as Anonymous actively endeavors to dismantle the shroud of secrecy enveloping these enigmatic occurrences. Firmly convinced that every individual is entitled to an awareness of possible otherworldly encounters, Anonymous staunchly advocates against the withholding of such vital information by governmental entities. Their unwavering commitment lies in shedding light on the existence of unidentified objects, thereby facilitating a greater understanding and appreciation of the potential interstellar visitors that could be visiting our planet. Anonymous sees this endeavor as a natural extension of its larger purpose, which is to reveal concealed realities and foster a culture of openness. Throughout history, governments have consistently adopted a position of either denying or maintaining ambiguity concerning incidents related to unidentified flying objects. Numerous individuals hold the belief that the adoption of secrecy measures is warranted in order to avert panic, safeguard national security, or retain authority over classified technologies. Nevertheless, this particular approach has frequently resulted in citizens being excluded from vital information, consequently fostering a sense of distrust and giving rise to various theories. In its dedicated efforts to uncover the truth regarding unidentified objects, the organization known as Anonymous is committed to bridging the long-standing chasm between government secrecy and the general public's awareness. This collective firmly believes in granting the public its rightful access to precise and reliable information concerning UFO encounters, enabling individuals to develop well-rounded perspectives and comprehend perplexing sightings that remain inexplicable. It is quite fascinating to note that this occurrence is not a singular event when it comes to the removal of enigmatic objects from areas with restricted airspace. Following a series of incidents involving the downing of unidentified objects in Alaska, the Yukon, and Lake Huron in February, a secret memo was presented to Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, outlining the Canadian government's response to the Yukon incident on February 11th. The memo also mentioned that the US Air Force was in the process of full exploitation of the object shot down over Alaska's waters on February 10th, although it did not provide further details on the nature of this intelligence exploitation. Moreover, a few days later, reports surfaced indicating that the search for the wreckage of the downed object had been called off by the United States. The exact purpose and extent of the intelligence exploitation remain uncertain. The memorandum for the Prime Minister, which was obtained by the Canadian CTV news outlet from a source who filed a Freedom of Information Act request, has shed light on a significant incident involving an unidentified object over the Yukon. This memo, which has been independently verified by the news organization, provides crucial details regarding the handling of unidentified aerial phenomena by the North American Aerospace Defense Command. The North American Aerospace Defense Command employs a systematic approach to track and monitor all detected objects that cannot be immediately identified. Through a sequential numbering system, these objects are meticulously documented to ensure thorough analysis. The majority of these objects, upon further investigation, are found to be harmless and fail to meet the criteria for higher-level reporting or engagement. However, the memo highlights a particular unidentified object, referred to as UAP-23, denoting it as the 23rd unidentified radar track, recorded by the North American Aerospace Defense Command over North America during that specific time frame. It is noteworthy that this particular object, classified as a UAP, raised significant concerns as it was eventually intercepted and shot down. This in-depth disclosure not only emphasizes the rigorous tracking protocols implemented by the North American Aerospace Defense Command, but also underscores the unique nature of UAP-23 that warranted increased attention and decisive action. The comprehensive nature of this memo affords a detailed understanding of the incident, enabling a more enriched perspective on the complexities surrounding unidentified objects in our airspace. According to the memo, the US Air Force F-22 Raptor shot down an unidentified object on February 11th. The memo further states that the specific function, method of propulsion, or any association with a nation-state of this unidentified object remains unverified. Additionally, there is no information available regarding whether this object poses an armed threat or possesses intelligence collection capabilities. According to the memo, the Canadian Air Force was taking charge of the aviation search operation in an attempt to locate the crashed object. However, given the limited information available, there was a pessimistic outlook regarding the chances of actually finding it. The Canadian Air Force was fully dedicated to this search mission, utilizing their expertise and resources in an extensive effort to find out what these mysterious objects were. The memo highlighted a concerning issue regarding the possibility of indigenous hunters stumbling upon the object while on their deer hunt. It further provided an explanation that, although Canadian Air Force CF-18 Hornets had been deployed to intercept the object, the F-22s were deemed to be in a more advantageous position, considering factors such as time, space, and the diminishing daylight. The memo aimed to address the potential risk posed by the object's presence. In a comprehensive and neutral manner, the Canadian official Janice Charette, who at the time served as the powerful clerk of the Privy Council, sent a memo to Prime Minister Trudeau and his National Security Advisor, Jody Thomas. The Privy Council acts as a centralised hub that guides the country's public service and offers impartial assistance to the Prime Minister and Cabinet in making policy decisions. This council plays a crucial role in providing non-partisan support to the highest levels of government, ensuring that policy decisions are well-informed and carefully considered. The memo, which was dispatched by Charette, serves as an important communication tool to provide essential information and recommendations to the recipients. Charette expressed doubts regarding the nature of the object, specifically questioning whether it posed an armed threat or possessed the ability to gather intelligence. These concerns arose 3 days after the Canadian authorities and media provided descriptions of the object. During the press conference held on February 11th, it was highlighted that Canadian Defence Minister Anita Anand described the unidentified object as a small, cylindrical object, which was actually smaller in size compared to the Chinese spy balloon that was intercepted off the coast of South Carolina on February 4th. It is worth noting that this mysterious object was flying at an altitude of 40,000 feet when it was taken down. Anand's statement brought attention to the peculiar characteristics and circumstances surrounding the incident, prompting further investigation and analysis of the object's origins and purpose. One of the primary reasons governments withhold information about unidentified objects is the concern for national security. When unidentified objects enter airspace or airspace restrictions, it raises questions about potential security threats. Governments fear that disclosing sensitive information about these incidents could inadvertently reveal their defense capabilities, radar systems, or response protocols to potential adversaries. Moreover, admitting a lack of control or understanding of unidentified object encounters could undermine public confidence in national security institutions. Consequently, governments may choose to classify related information to maintain the appearance of competence and control over their airspace. These sightings often involve the observation of advanced and unconventional aerial phenomena. The fear of foreign technological advancements or espionage can lead governments to keep information classified. If these sightings involve experimental aircraft or drones from rival nations, governments may wish to keep such encounters discreet to prevent technological secrets from falling into the wrong hands. Releasing information about potentially revolutionary technologies could also lead to increased competition and a race to replicate these advancements. Governments may thus opt for secrecy to retain their technological edge. Mr. Vernet, a researcher in Brazil, said that he is in contact with the Iquitu people at San Antonio de Pintuyacu, and he said the Iquitu people asked him to share a video of them protesting prosecutor Carlos Quintanilla, who they said never visited the site. For those unaware, this is the individual responsible for saying that the entities were miners with jetpacks. But the Iquitu people said they've never been to the area, and that these sightings are still happening. They have sent out a video protesting these claims.
Bueno, en este momento, muy buenas tardes. Primeramente, agradecerle, ¿no?, a cada uno de ustedes, solamente para denegar lo que viene mencionando el fiscal en las redes sociales, de que la comunidad nativa de San Antonio, ese fiscal ha venido acá a la comunidad y nosotros como comunidad desmentimos, ¿no? Porque si bien es cierto, ese fiscal no ha llegado a la comunidad, lo que ha llegado sí es la policía, ¿no? Solamente viene a levantar acta de que cómo ha pasado ese suceso durante esa tarde, lo que ha pasado con la señorita, pero más otra, digamos, fiscal no han venido acá, ningún fiscal a la comunidad, pero aún con todo pedimos, ¿no?, como autoridad a la fiscalía que venga a intervenir en nuestra situación que estamos pasando y ver, pues, ¿no?, para que constaten en cómo estamos pasando nosotros acá en la comunidad, ¿no? Y también que traigan sus implementos para poder sobrevolar en nuestra comunidad en la noche, para que ellos mismos constaten, porque algunos comuneros ya están pidiendo refuerzos a unas ONG acá, pero solamente podemos captar en el día, ¿no? Si bien es cierto, en el día no hay atropello en la comunidad, pero lo que se atropellan, señores, son en la noche. Y para eso le hago un pedido, ¿no?, ¿verdad?, que vengan a visitar nuestra comunidad, que traigan periodistas, algo para que puedan llevar mejor información. Muchísimas gracias.
People are now certain that the theory of miners being on jetpacks was put forward in order to downplay what's happening in Peru. Those who have been investigating this story have said that the jetpack theory now lacks any credibility. Oddly enough, some residents have said that military officials have been seen throughout the area and said that it's like they are searching for something. Many have also said that it's the first time they have ever heard of gold miners using jetpacks, and again pointed out that they would require heavy-duty equipment to mine gold from a river. Online users have said that this story doesn't add up, and note that they are likely using illegal miners as a way to distract people from what's actually happening throughout the area. The Akitu informed journalists that the recent invasion, which started on July 11th, has subjected the residents to relentless assaults by mysterious beings. However, many locals have said that news outlets have twisted their words and said that the entities were not wearing grey clothing, but rather their actual skin was grey, and that the entities gave off no noise, and no jetpacks were seen during these encounters. What's interesting about this story is that it's not the first time that this has happened, and residents who live close to the region have said that these 7-foot-tall entities have been encountered before. On top of this, these entities were not affected by their weapons and had the ability to give off a blinding light which would disorientate the eyewitnesses. Some have suggested that a possible cover-up is happening and that the illegal activities are being used as a front for what's happening right now. Others back this up by saying that the entities were over 7 feet tall and were very slender. As of right now, officials are trying to suggest illegal miners as a possible cause, but as some have said, human miners are not immune to bullets. According to Jairo Avila, an Akitu leader, he stated to radio programmers that these individuals are extraterrestrials. Avila admitted to the local radio station that he fired 2 shots at them, but instead of falling, the entity stood up and vanished. The mysterious events in the community have caused fear among the residents. However, another witness for the prosecution, a teacher, observed these strange creatures ascending from the ground using more conventional methods. Many are not believing these claims, saying that you need heavy-duty equipment to be able to mine gold from a riverbed, and further state that none of this equipment was seen during these encounters. The Akitu community has requested assistance from the Peruvian military due to a series of unusual and perplexing incidents. The local people characterized the assailants as beings with a silver appearance and large heads. The Akitu people, residing in a village situated about 10 hours away from Loreto's capital Iquitos, find themselves unable to continue their normal routines. In response, they have taken the initiative to form nighttime patrols in order to confront their technologically advanced assailants. They are enacting these measures until the Peruvian military can step in and provide assistance. As of right now, more and more information is being released about the mysterious entities that were sighted in Peru. Oddly enough, since the topic has been trending, locals have been posting photographs of the alleged creatures, with some describing them giving off bright lights, while others have said that they have big heads with larger eyes. Interestingly, locals have said that this isn't the first time that these entities have been witnessed, and detailed that locals have allegedly been encountering them now for several months. In a rural area called Alto Nanay, located in the northeastern part of Lima, Peru, residents who've lived in the area for several decades claim to be experiencing constant encounters with 7-foot-tall entities. These mysterious beings are said to have armored bodies and distinct features, such as large heads and yellow eyes. The villagers report that these creatures have been consistently attacking their community during the night since July 11th. Oddly enough, footage was released of the incident, and those who saw it said they could make out a humanoid-like entity, while others noted that the creature appeared to be more bug-like. The Akitu indigenous people have made accusations regarding advanced beings who they claim are impervious to their traditional hunting tools. These individuals are calling for assistance from the Peruvian military to ensure their safety against these interstellar trespassers. According to their accounts, the mysterious entities wear protective suits and possess an extraordinary ability to float using spherical footwear illuminated by a red light. According to community leader Jairo Riategui Avila, he described the individuals as beings from another planet. Jairo even attempted to fire at one of them twice, but they remained unharmed and eventually vanished. This extraordinary occurrence has caused great fear and concern within the community. In order to ensure the safety of their community, the villagers have organized night patrols. The authorities have conducted a visit to the vicinity and explored the outskirts of the village. According to these stories, many of the residents report that these entities have the ability to give off a blinding light. One particular evening, an eerie luminescence was observed coming from the fields beyond the village. The gentle hum of insects was replaced by a silence that seemed to stretch into eternity. It's reported that villagers peered out of their windows, captivated by the unearthly glow that painted the landscape in shades of pale blue. Locals said that some groups went out to the village's outskirts to investigate what was causing this light, and said that a figure emerged from the ethereal light. Standing at the boundary between the known and the unknown was a being unlike anything they had ever seen. According to those who witnessed the entity, its skin was a muted shade of grey, its lithe form almost floating above the ground. Large, almond-shaped eyes of shimmering silver peered curiously at the villagers, reflecting the moonlight in a mesmerizing dance. Fear mixed with awe as the villagers exchanged glances, their hearts pounding in anticipation of the encounter. One local said that the group quickly made their way out of there, and that for several weeks now these entities keep returning, with one of the locals saying that they've reached out to the military and said they want the sightings to end. Among the diverse and captivating array of beings that have allegedly been encountered by humans, the grey entity is perhaps one of the most commonly reported. With their distinctive appearance and a prevalence in lore, these entities have become synonymous with the search for advanced life. Often referred to simply as the Greys, they are allegedly humanoid beings characterized by their small stature, large heads, prominent black almond-shaped eyes, and lack of discernible noses and mouths. Their skin is typically described as grey or pale, and they are often depicted as having slim bodies with elongated limbs. This archetype of advanced beings first gained prominence in the mid-20th century, although researchers into the unknown have said that cave paintings depict these creatures, causing some to suggest that humans have had encounters with them for thousands of years. Some theories propose that these entities might not be physical beings from distant planets, but instead interdimensional beings that can traverse different realms of existence. Another hypothesis suggests that they could be time travelers from the future, using advanced technology to interact with earlier eras of human history. As of right now, it's important to note that more evidence is needed to prove their existence. However, as technology moves forward, perhaps we are closer than what we realize to providing conclusive evidence of the authenticity of these entities. According to Anonymous, along with multiple other sources, there exists a covert office within the CIA that has been actively involved in the covert operation of recovering and retrieving unidentified objects that have crashed in various locations worldwide. According to a reliable source, the US government has reportedly retrieved a minimum of 9 unidentified objects, which are believed to be of non-human origin. These objects were obtained in various conditions, with some being damaged as a result of crashes, while 2 of them were found completely intact. According to information provided by 3 undisclosed sources, it has been revealed that the Office of Global Access, a division within the Science and Technology Directorate of the Central Intelligence Agency, has been actively involved in coordinating the acquisition of potential advanced spacecraft since 2003. This disclosure sheds light on the significant role played by the Office of Global Access in secret operations related to alleged unidentified flying objects. According to undisclosed sources, who prefer to remain anonymous due to fear of backlash, it has been revealed that all 3 individuals have received detailed information from insiders who were directly part of the purported missions aimed at recovering unidentified objects. The assertions, despite their seemingly fantastical nature, are becoming increasingly supported by a wide range of evidence. This evidence hints at the possibility that the US government may be concealing technologically advanced vehicles that are not of human origin. The existence of such vehicles may defy belief, yet a comprehensive examination of the available information suggests that this phenomenon warrants serious consideration. In a highly anticipated and captivating public hearing held in July, David Grush, a highly respected former top intelligence officer, made a revealing and impactful statement before Congress. In a remarkable move, during the same month, the Senate Majority Leader, Chuck Schumer, proposed a groundbreaking bill that permits the public disclosure of recovered technologies with unknown origins and biological evidence, indicating the existence of non-human intelligence. This bill has successfully passed through the Senate, marking a significant milestone in the pursuit of uncovering secrets surrounding these extraordinary phenomena. Multiple individuals who provided information to various news outlets have revealed detailed insights into the suspected collaboration between the CIA and their purported involvement in clandestine operations concerning the retrieval and secure preservation of unidentified objects that have either crashed or landed. According to a reliable source who received information from insiders of the UFO program, there are a minimum of 9 vehicles involved. Each vehicle has its own unique circumstances and conditions. The condition of the vehicles is a determining factor, as some may be damaged if they were to crash, resulting in significant harm. However, there are 2 vehicles that remain completely intact. It is essential to consider the physical state of each vehicle, as it greatly impacts their functionality and resilience. According to the source, the Central Intelligence Agency possesses a sophisticated system that can detect unidentified flying objects even when they are concealed from human sight. Additionally, in the event that these unconventional aerial vehicles manage to touch down, crash, or are forcibly grounded on Earth, specialized military units are promptly deployed to recover any surviving remains or wreckage. According to an additional informant familiar with the responsibilities of the Office of Global Access, it has been asserted that their expertise lies in facilitating covert access for the US military to regions across the globe that are typically considered off-limits. One such example would be clandestine operations conducted behind enemy lines. The Office of Global Access plays a crucial role in granting access to areas that would normally be restricted, enabling the military to operate discreetly. According to the source, these individuals play a crucial role in aiding people with their travel needs, acting as facilitators to ensure smooth entry and exit from different countries. The source acknowledges their remarkable ability to navigate through various destinations across the globe effortlessly. These skilled professionals possess the knowledge and expertise to access any corner of the world with ease. According to numerous insiders familiar with the activities of the Office of Global Access, the bulk of their operations primarily revolve around conventional retrieval missions. These missions typically involve tasks such as locating and securing stray nuclear weapons, recovering downed satellites, or acquiring the technology of adversarial entities. According to their assertions, certain operations overseen by the Office of Global Access have encompassed the retrieval of unidentified objects. According to a reliable source, the primary objective is to secure and safeguard the item in question while maintaining utmost confidentiality. The responsibility of physically retrieving it lies with the military, although they do not retain control over it due to the extensive documentation they have to manage. Consequently, the item is swiftly transferred into the possession of private individuals or entities. This transfer ensures that the military can focus on their record-keeping duties without the burden of safeguarding the item. The process emphasizes the importance of maintaining secrecy and highlights the role of the military in the initial retrieval, followed by the prioritization of placing it in private hands. According to the published documents by the National Archives and Records Administration in December 2016, it was revealed that the Office of Global Access was just one among the 56 different offices operating within the Central Intelligence Agency. In terms of hierarchy within the CIA, the Office of Global Access's chief and deputy were among the 286 individuals holding director-level positions. In October 2015, the CIA released an unclassified organizational chart that included the Office of Global Access within the Science and Technology Department. In his 2016 book about the CIA, renowned expert Jeffrey Richelson revealed that the Office of Global Access was established back in 2003. He cited a description provided by the CIA, which highlighted the Office of Global Access's mission to seamlessly integrate analysis, technology, and tradecraft in order to effectively target challenging adversaries and ensure global capabilities for intelligence gathering. Douglas Wolfe, a former deputy director of the Office of Global Access, has made significant contributions to the aerospace industry. According to a detailed 2017 biography published by an aerospace conference, Wolfe played a crucial role in the establishment of the OGA. Wolfe's biography intriguingly mentions that he held positions where he led and oversaw strategic initiatives aimed at obtaining valuable information from highly restricted areas. Furthermore, he served as a program manager entrusted with the comprehensive acquisition of an innovative and groundbreaking intelligence source and methodology for the intelligence community, ensuring the entire process from inception to implementation was effectively managed. These programs were specifically designed to extract intelligence from challenging and covert environments, presenting a unique set of difficulties. According to information provided by two undisclosed sources to news outlets, it has been revealed that the Office of Global Access collaborates closely with specialized military units like SEAL teams or Delta Force, operating under the authority of the Pentagon's Joint Special Operations Command. Additionally, the Office of Global Access also works alongside nuclear weapons experts, such as the Nuclear Emergency Support Team. These collaborative efforts are primarily focused on retrieving and gathering any crashed or landed unidentified aerial objects. However, a different individual, who has provided detailed information to members of Congress regarding purportedly recovered crash incidents, contradicts the claim that the Nuclear Emergency Support Team had participated in any of these operations. According to a spokesperson, members of the Nuclear Emergency Support Team frequently come across materials of unknown origin. It is worth noting that one of the primary objectives of this team is to assist in identifying the source of nuclear substances intercepted outside of regulatory oversight or employed in the construction of nuclear devices. This task involves extensive investigation and analysis to determine the exact origins and purpose behind the utilization of such materials. Throughout its operational history, NEST has consistently reported a lack of any substantive information pertaining to unidentified aerial phenomena. According to a new interview with a former member of the SEAL team, they had participated in missions that were coordinated by the CIA. These operations aimed to retrieve valuable enemy weapons that had been left behind or lost. Additionally, the source mentioned that they were aware of fellow colleagues who had been part of similar missions, during which they discovered technology that appeared to be highly advanced. However, it is important to note that the technology they encountered was not necessarily of advanced origin. According to a credible source, it has been reported that the 24th Special Tactics Squadron, which is part of the Air Force Special Operations Command, stationed at Pope Field Army Air Base located in North Carolina, has played a significant role in the crucial task of securing areas where unidentified flying objects have reportedly crashed. According to insider information, it has been revealed that the Central Intelligence Agency frequently transfers the wreckage or materials obtained from various incidents to private aerospace contractors for further examination. This practice allows them to avoid strict government audits and provides an opportunity to protect and safeguard these materials under trade secret provisions. By involving private contractors, the CIA can ensure that comprehensive analyses are conducted without the constraints of government oversight. According to an informant who has disclosed their knowledge to Congress, the Central Intelligence Agency assumes the role of the portfolio manager or owner in the operation related to the retrieval of unidentified anomalous phenomena crashes. The Department of Energy's national laboratories act as materials analysis contractors in cases where recovered radioisotopes are implicated. However, it is important to note that their involvement extends beyond just radioisotope materials. On the other hand, in the aerospace defense industry, contractors are specifically entrusted with handling non-radioactive materials, excluding any recovered radioisotopes. They also work with intact spacecraft. It is worth mentioning that this distinction is crucial in ensuring proper management and safe handling of various materials within these sectors. Numerous credible sources have indicated that a significant number of individuals participating in these programs might not even be aware that they are engaging with advanced aircraft. This lack of awareness can largely be attributed to the stringent security measures and compartmentalization of information implemented within these highly classified initiatives. During his recent interview with podcast host Joe Rogan, whistleblower David Grush provided a fascinating anecdote that sheds light on the Manhattan Project engineers' lack of awareness regarding their work's ultimate purpose. Grush shared an example involving engineers who were involved in developing fuses for a top-secret project in the 1940s, only to later discover that these very fuses were incorporated into the devastating atomic bombs dropped on Japan. Late in 2021, Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid, in an interview with The New Yorker, made a fascinating revelation about the involvement of esteemed defense company Lockheed Martin as one of the private contractors entrusted with the custody of potential extraterrestrial debris. According to his testimony, he mentioned that he had been informed for an extended period of time about Lockheed's possession of certain recovered materials. As the majority leader, Reid played a pivotal role as a member of the Gang of Eight, a small and exclusive group of prominent lawmakers who were entrusted with access to the nation's most highly classified information. This information was deemed too sensitive to be shared widely among other members of Congress. According to the individual in question, despite his affiliation or status, he was not granted entry or permission to these purported initiatives. In 2008, Senator Reid played a significant role in establishing a fresh department within the Pentagon specifically dedicated to investigating unidentified flying objects. The main objective of this initiative was to thoroughly examine the recurring reports from US military pilots and personnel regarding peculiar sightings in both the skies and the seas. This newly formed UFO investigation office aimed to delve deeply into these incidents, leaving no stone unturned. In June, Grush, a former high-ranking intelligence officer, made a significant revelation regarding his tenure at the Pentagon's UFO office. He disclosed the existence of a covert US program that aimed to acquire advanced technology from various unidentified aerial vehicles dating back to the 1930s. Grush's claims shed light on the long-standing efforts of the US government to investigate and harness the potential technological advancements of these enigmatic crafts. The claims made by the former employee of the National Reconnaissance Office have been evaluated as both urgent and credible by the Intelligence Community Inspector General. Grush, who asserts that he provided supporting documents to substantiate his account, also introduced approximately 40 individuals who were directly involved in the purported programs of reverse engineering unidentified flying objects. It's just been announced that dozens of government whistleblowers have given their testimony to Congress, many of which detail crash retrieval programs. In the month of August, following the testimonial of David Grush, a whistleblower within the US government, regarding the existence of crashed spacecraft and mysterious biologics of alien origin, there arose a considerable amount of skepticism among observers regarding the credibility of his claims. It is understandable that doubts may arise, considering that Grush is just one individual, and the level of trustworthiness associated with an individual's testimony can vary. Among the other witnesses who provided testimonies before Congress were two former Navy pilots who, interestingly, stated that they had not encountered any concrete evidence to support the existence of a government program dedicated to the retrieval and reverse engineering of peculiar, non-human-like spacecraft. According to numerous sources, it has been revealed that over the past several months, not just one, but a minimum of 30 additional whistleblowers employed by the federal government or government contractors have come forward to provide testimony or make a protected disclosure to various oversight agencies. These include the Office of the Intelligence Community Inspector General, the Defense Department Inspector General, as well as Congress. This information sheds light on the widespread nature of whistleblowing within these sectors, indicating a growing trend of individuals daring to expose wrongdoing or malfeasance. In a letter addressed to Congress on September 15th, Thomas A. Monheim, the Inspector General of the Intelligence Community, seemingly refuted claims that his office was conducting an investigation into unidentified aerial phenomenon. Monheim clarified that his office had not undertaken any extensive assessments, audits, inspections, evaluations or reviews related to alleged UAP programs falling under the authority and responsibility of the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, which hindered their ability to provide a comprehensive response. The presence of numerous whistleblowers is being considered by some as conclusive proof of the existence of extraterrestrial life or a government-led program aimed at concealing the recovery or reverse engineering of unidentified aerial phenomena. However, it is crucial to note that not all of these individuals may be providing testimonies specifically related to evidence of UAPs. It is possible that some of them are merely reporting instances of illegal or unethical actions associated with UAP programs. Such behavior might encompass activities that breach legal or ethical boundaries within the context of UAP-related initiatives. According to anonymous sources who have first-hand knowledge of the matter and wish to remain unidentified, it has come to light that not only have whistleblowers reported instances of misconduct, but a significant number of government employees and contractors, estimated to be between 30 to 50, have taken the initiative to provide testimonies related to unidentified aerial phenomena to the Department of Defence's All-Anomaly Resolution Office. According to Nick Pope, a renowned UAP expert who has been involved with the UK's Ministry of Defence on this matter, it is noteworthy that a variety of witnesses and whistleblowers have been coming forward to different entities. There has been significant speculation regarding the involvement of individuals like Grush, who have come forward as whistleblowers or witnesses of unidentified aerial phenomena in a potential disinformation campaign orchestrated by the US government. During the 1980s and the early 2000s, a former intelligence officer from the US Air Force, stationed at Kirtland Air Force Base, made a startling revelation to British journalist Mark Pilkington and several others. This individual admitted to engaging in the dissemination of deliberate misinformation about unidentified flying objects, with the specific intention of misleading civilian investigators in the field of UFO research. The ulterior motive behind this disinformation campaign was twofold: to conceal advanced technology programs that were being conducted by the US military, as well as to veil the existence and involvement of non-human entities. According to a variety of experts who were interviewed by the public, the probability is low that individuals engaging in disinformation campaigns would choose to employ the Office of the Inspector General as a channel to carry out their malicious activities. This is primarily because such a choice would entail potential risks for the individuals involved in the campaign. A group of lawmakers from both political parties on the House Oversight Committee have expressed that the recent UAP hearing is only the beginning of their efforts to seek answers and delve deeper into the subject. They are determined to embark on a comprehensive exploration and analysis of the topic, leaving no stone unturned. The individuals in question are issuing threats, indicating their readiness to employ more forceful methods if they encounter resistance from the Pentagon and intelligence agencies. Their intention is to exert pressure and overcome any obstacles that may impede their investigation. Several lawmakers are advocating for greater exploration and understanding of unidentified anomalous phenomena, commonly known as unidentified objects. Their efforts go beyond mere curiosity, as they propose the implementation of new laws, calling for a classified hearing, and even suggesting the establishment of a select committee. These lawmakers understand the significance of these studies. The legislators have expressed their readiness to exercise their authority to issue subpoenas, if necessary, in order to obtain the information they are seeking from the federal government. They are determined to obtain the answers they require and are prepared to utilize their legal power to ensure cooperation and compliance from Pentagon officials. According to Burchett, if there's not a cover-up, the government and the Pentagon are spending a lot of resources to stop us from studying it. This implies that there could potentially be hidden information or motives behind their actions. Burchett's statement suggests that the authorities are actively obstructing the study. In discussing the matter of unidentified aerial phenomena and related government programs, Representative Tim Burchett expressed a desire for support from House Speaker Kevin McCarthy in establishing a select committee to thoroughly investigate these phenomena. Burchett emphasized the importance of not only studying UAPs, but also examining any government programs aimed at addressing them. In the event that leadership approval is not obtained, Burchett intends to initiate field hearings to meet the public's demand for transparency on the issue. This comprehensive approach aims to delve deep into the subject matter and provide a thorough understanding of UAPs and the government's involvement. During the current week, there has been significant development in the investigation of unidentified flying objects, as 3 highly experienced former military officials provided compelling testimony regarding these unexplained aerial objects. Under oath, they revealed that for an extended period, they were intentionally kept uninformed about the enigmatic sightings and encounters with unidentified objects. This testimony has shed new light on the depth of secrecy surrounding these mysterious phenomena and has sparked a renewed push for answers. David Grush, a former intelligence officer in the Air Force, delivered a profoundly startling testimony where he revealed that he had been informed about a highly classified program focused on retrieving and reverse engineering unidentified aerial phenomena for several decades. Grush went on to accuse the military of intentionally diverting funds in order to maintain secrecy surrounding these operations. This revelation uncovers a covert initiative that has spanned multiple generations, involving the examination and investigation of UAP incidents. The testimony presented is causing committee members to raise doubts regarding the appropriate approach for Congress to initiate an investigation into the witnesses' claims. They are also urging the executive branch to provide further clarification and explanations regarding its denial of the existence of certain programs. This comprehensive and detailed exploration delves into the deep-rooted questions surrounding the need for extensive inquiry and the demand for transparency. In an effort to gather more insights and evidence, legislators are aiming to initiate the process by acquiring supplementary details and records that Grush claims to have submitted to the Pentagon's Inspector General subsequent to his involvement in 2 Defense Department task forces focusing on unidentified aerial phenomena. Lawmakers are seeking to gather information from Grush, who has expressed his inability to provide specific details to the Pentagon's watchdog. In order to extract more insights from him, they intend to conduct a meeting with the former official in a specialized facility known as a sensitive compartmented information facility. This dedicated space ensures the confidentiality and security of the discussions, enabling the lawmakers to delve deeper into the subject matter and obtain a comprehensive understanding of the situation. The objective is to enrich their knowledge and gain valuable additional information. The group, led by Grush, has encountered an obstacle in their attempt to discuss the issues in a sensitive compartmented information facility. Officials have informed them that Grush doesn't possess the necessary security clearance at present. This means that Grush is currently restricted from engaging in discussions within the sensitive compartmented information facility. In a comprehensive and neutral tone, the interviewee expressed his frustration with the current situation, believing that although it may take some time, they will eventually reach their destination. He emphasized that he is personally eager to proceed, as well as confident that the American public shares the same sentiment. Luna contended that the establishment of a sensitive compartmented information facility with Grush would significantly enhance the comprehension of lawmakers regarding the necessary legislation concerning unidentified aerial phenomena. She expressed her endorsement for legislation that aims to declassify information pertaining to these phenomena. In light of the increasing bipartisan attention towards promoting government transparency regarding unidentified aerial phenomena, there is a pressing need to establish robust reporting protocols for UAP sightings in both military and commercial airspace. Additionally, it is imperative to highlight the importance of imposing stricter penalties for any attempts to intimidate or suppress whistleblowers who come forward with information relating to UAPs. This issue has gained significant significance in recent times and calls for a comprehensive and thorough examination. There is currently a provision in the Senate's version of the Annual Defense Authorization Bill, inserted by Sen's Mike Rounds and Chuck Schumer, that would force federal government agencies to hand over UAP records to a review panel with the power to declassify them. The bill, known as the National Defense Authorization Act, must be reconciled with the House's version, so the initiative could still be stripped out. In his efforts to enhance air travel, Burchett made an endeavor to propose an amendment to a Federal Aviation Administration bill that was passed on July 20th. The proposed amendment aimed to establish a requirement for reporting unidentified aerial phenomenon sightings to Congress. Unfortunately, this initiative was thwarted, prompting Luna to comment that it signifies a challenging journey lies ahead of them. In the event that lawmakers are unable to gain access to a secure compartmented information facility, they have another option available to them known as the Holman Rule. This rule can be invoked as a way to strip the salary of a specific government position, fire civil servants, or cut a particular program. During the hearing, Representative Andy Ogles, a member of the Republican Party representing Tennessee, expressed his strong determination to take action. He declared that he will personally step forward as a volunteer to initiate the Holman Rule against any individual in a governmental position, any program, or any agency that obstructs or denies Congress's access to information and resources. The Holman Rule is a powerful tool wielded by the House of Representatives that empowers them to take actions such as reducing the salary of a specific government position, terminating the employment of civil servants, or slashing funding for particular programs. In response to Grush's testimony before lawmakers, where he revealed the existence of a clandestine government initiative known as the UAP Crash Retrieval and Reverse Engineering Program, Ogles made a commitment to investigate the matter further. Grush's assertions were based on extensive interviews conducted with 40 witnesses, leading him to firmly believe that the government possesses extraterrestrial crafts. As of right now, there's a large number of people that want to uncover the enigmatic mysteries of our world, saying that research show that many of these remain unknown to the general public. Despite several reasons that prohibit the dissemination of that knowledge to the public, inquisitive minds continue to seek answers to their questions. According to reports, various former presidents have been told about the unknown. While some ex-presidents have chosen to remain tight-lipped about their knowledge, a few have divulged intriguing details that suggest they may be aware of more than they are admitting. During his presidency, President Trump acknowledged that he had inside information on unidentified objects and participated in meetings to discuss them. He found the reports fascinating, but stressed the need for further investigations while commending the military's handling of the sightings. In 2019, elected officials, including senators and other government representatives, revealed that they had witnessed peculiar aircrafts above the United States. The president and other officials initially claimed that there were no programs investigating the phenomena, but later released documents exposed a secret program that had been already in place. Former President Trump revealed that he was aware of these aircrafts and that he has inside knowledge of these objects that he may reveal to the general public. During an interview, the former president said that it is important to note that these sightings and encounters have been reported by people across the world for decades. These reports often involve sightings of unidentified objects in the sky that exhibit flight characteristics or behaviors that cannot be easily explained. He said that the United States government are aware of these objects, and that over the years the country has had its fair share of encounters. Insiders said that the former president commented on how the classification of sensitive and classified information is a common practice to ensure national security and protect sensitive sources and methods. However, insiders have come forward and said that certain details about encounters, investigations, or research may be deemed classified and therefore not routinely shared with the president. The former president did counter this and said that he has been briefed on various cases that the public would find interesting. The former president said the following: "I want them to think whatever they think. I did attend meetings on them. Space is the world's newest war-fighting domain. Amid grave threats to our national security, American superiority in space is absolutely vital. And we're leading, but we're not leading by enough. But very shortly we'll be leading by a lot." End quote. The former president said that he possesses insider information on these enigmatic flying objects and may disclose it publicly when he deems appropriate. He also characterized the footage as an amazing video. According to insiders, there have been indications that he may release this information soon, as the subject has gained more attention than ever before. What's interesting is that the United States hasn't denied these objects, and due to them being featured in the media, some have suggested that the former president could be the one to make disclosure official. Despite lengthy investigations into these unusual objects, it wasn't until several years ago that reports of sightings went mainstream. This occurred after various military officials shared their testimonies, revealing that they had been encountering these aircrafts for years, with each attempt to learn more yielding no satisfactory answers. Retired military personnel are sharing their experiences and collaborating with individuals on a project. They have observed that these unknown crafts possess the ability to outperform their aircraft by traveling at incredible speeds of tens of thousands of miles per hour, evading radar detection, diving into the ocean without making any noticeable disturbance, and interfering with electronic equipment to disable various systems. There have been suggestions that when the former president held office, he was deeply involved in such matters and would participate in these gatherings to stay informed on the latest developments. The prospect of the United States government announcing disclosure regarding mysterious aircrafts and advanced life is a topic that has captivated the imagination of many. Such an announcement would undoubtedly have profound implications for society, science, and our understanding of the universe. While the specifics of what would occur are speculative, it is worth exploring some potential scenarios and their potential impact. First and foremost, the announcement of these aircrafts, advanced life and disclosure by the United States government would be an unprecedented moment in human history. It would signal a significant paradigm shift, challenging long-held beliefs and inviting a re-evaluation of our place in the cosmos. The confirmation of the existence of intelligent advanced life would raise countless questions about their origins, capabilities, and potential interactions with humanity. One immediate effect would be the impact on public consciousness and belief systems. The disclosure would likely trigger a mixture of excitement, awe, and apprehension among the population. People's perspectives on the existence of life beyond Earth would be reshaped, leading to new conversations and debates about our place in the universe and the implications for religious, philosophical, and scientific worldviews. Scientifically, the disclosure would open up a vast frontier of exploration and research. The confirmation of advanced life would revolutionize fields such as astrobiology, exobiology, and astronomy. Scientists would have the opportunity to collaborate and study the biological, cultural, and technological aspects of these alien civilizations, leading to new insights and advancements in our understanding of life itself. Technological advancements would likely be accelerated as well. The knowledge of more advanced civilizations would push our own technological development to new frontiers. The study of advanced technology and potential collaborations with these civilizations could lead to breakthroughs in energy, propulsion, communication, and other areas of scientific and technological endeavor. The economic implications of disclosure would also be significant. The commercial space industry, which is already experiencing rapid growth, would likely see an even greater surge in interest and investment. Companies and entrepreneurs would be driven to explore new opportunities in space tourism, resource extraction, and interstellar travel. This could result in job creation, economic growth, and the emergence of new industries. However, disclosure would not be without challenges and potential risks. The impact on global stability and geopolitical relations would need to be carefully managed. The revelation of advanced extraterrestrial civilizations could disrupt existing power dynamics and lead to geopolitical tensions as nations vie for access to advanced resources and knowledge. Furthermore, the societal impact of disclosure may include social, cultural, and psychological implications. People's beliefs, values, and sense of identity could be shaken, and there may be a need for comprehensive education and support systems to navigate these changes. The integration of advanced life into our collective consciousness would require an open and inclusive approach, promoting tolerance, understanding, and cooperation. As of right now, the announcement of mysterious aircrafts and advanced life disclosure by the United States government would have far-reaching consequences across various domains. It would challenge our preconceived notions, reshape scientific and technological pursuits, and potentially reshape our societal, cultural, and economic landscapes. While the specifics of how society would react and adapt to such disclosure are uncertain, it is crucial to approach the topic with an open mind, scientific rigor, and a commitment to exploring the implications of our place in the vast cosmic tapestry. Ultimately, disclosure could serve as a catalyst for scientific progress, societal transformation, and a renewed sense of wonder and exploration as we continue to unravel the mysteries of the universe. Analysis has determined that the objects retrieved are of exotic origin, non-human intelligence, whether extraterrestrial or unknown origin, based on the vehicle morphologies and material science testing. This is the most recent comment from a defense intelligence whistleblower. For those interested in this topic, the last 6 years have been full of ups and downs in the United States. Leslie Kean and Ralph Blumenthal, who were part of the team that broke the 2017 story, have published a new report that may give hope to those who believe in the existence of advanced beings. According to the report, a defense intelligence whistleblower has claimed that the intelligence community is keeping classified evidence of non-human origin craft that are both fully and partially intact. According to a complaint filed by whistleblower David Charles Grush, the Pentagon, along with other countries and defense contractors, have obtained fragments from unidentified sources that have unique atomic and radiological signatures. Grush also alleges that these fragments have been subjected to material science testing, and based on the morphology of the vehicles containing the fragments, it is suggested that the intelligence behind these materials may not be of human origin. He further claims that these materials include both fully and partially intact vehicles. Grush, an Afghanistan combat veteran, served in the Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force. This program, managed by the Office of Naval Intelligence, investigates sightings of mysterious aircrafts. As the representative of the National Reconnaissance Office, a top-rated US intelligence agency, Grush participated in the task force from 2019 to 2021. Despite a previous expert in the government being discredited, Grush's evidence are highly regarded by his colleagues. Carl Nell, a retired Army colonel who also worked on the task force, described Grush as beyond reproach. Additionally, Grush explained in a claim that other nations are currently competing to identify UFO crashes and landings, along with the materials that are currently being used for exploitation and reverse engineering. According to Nell, a knowledgeable intelligence source, there has been a hidden competition on Earth for the last 80 years to reverse engineer unknown technologies, and this assertion is accurate. Nell also believes that some of these mysterious technologies may come from non-human extraterrestrial intelligence. Another intelligence official, Jonathan Gray, investigating mysterious aircrafts, agrees that there is a genuine non-human intelligence phenomenon, indicating that humans are not alone in the universe. Gray points out that the mysterious aircraft phenomenon is widespread and persistent, but we have not been able to find a global solution to it yet. The unclassified complaint disclosed to the debrief alleges that the intelligence community deliberately concealed evidence of extraterrestrial technology from congressional oversight, thus hindering its efficacy. Gregory Grush, the whistleblower who raised these concerns, reportedly faced months of retaliation as a result. To protect the integrity of the ongoing investigation, Grush has not revealed the details of the retaliation. The Pentagon confirmed the report's contents in April, although the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence did not comment. Following his retirement in April, Grush expressed hope that his allegations would trigger an ontological shock. The existence of unidentified objects and their alleged crashes has long intrigued both the general public and those interested in the unknown. Speculation about the United States government's involvement in such incidents has given rise to numerous claims and controversies. Over the years, several crash incidents have been reported. Proponents of the crashed theory argue that these incidents provide tangible evidence of advanced visitation. Claims of other incidents have further fueled the belief that the United States government possesses these objects and that they are keeping this information away from the general public. One of the reasons for doing this is they don't want to admit that there's something out there much more advanced than us, and the reason for this is because it could cause panic. If there are objects out there that can easily outmaneuver our best jets, then it shows that we could easily be overpowered if things didn't go to plan. However, believers have said that if something bad was going to happen, then it would have happened by now. Supporters of the crashed theory often point to eyewitness accounts, leaked documents, and alleged insider testimonials as evidence of the government's involvement. However, critics argue that the lack of concrete evidence, inconsistencies in testimonies, and the possibility of hoaxes cast doubt on the veracity of these claims. Theories regarding these crashed objects often revolve around government secrecy. As mentioned, the assertion is that the United States government has actively suppressed information to maintain control and prevent public panic. The investigation of unidentified objects by the United States government has a storied history that spans several decades. The United States' interest in mysterious aircrafts can be traced back to the 1940s and 1950s. These initiatives aimed to collect and analyze reports of mysterious aircraft sightings, with the primary focus on national security concerns. Congressional interest and involvement have played a significant role in shaping the United States' approach to investigations. Several lawmakers have pushed for increased transparency and funding to study these aerial phenomena. In December 2020, the Intelligence Authorization Act for fiscal year 2021 included a provision mandating the preparation of an unclassified report on mysterious aircrafts. In addition to government agencies, the scientific community has become increasingly engaged in the study of these objects. Renowned organizations like the Scientific Coalition for UAP Studies and the privately funded To the Stars Academy have worked to bridge the gap between scientific inquiry and public interest, fostering collaboration and the application of rigorous scientific methodologies to investigate these sightings. The United States investigation of mysterious aircrafts has evolved over time, driven by public interest, technological advancements, and national security concerns. From the early military investigations to the contemporary initiatives, the pursuit of understanding these objects continues to capture the attention of government agencies, scientists, and the public, forging a path toward unraveling the mysteries of the unknown skies. The International Space Station orbits the Earth, serving as a beacon of scientific exploration and international collaboration. However, alongside its remarkable achievements, the International Space Station has also become the focal point of intriguing reports and recordings of unidentified objects. Recently, some interesting photographs have been shared around social media, showing what appears to be two medium-sized black cubes flying past one of the International Space Station's cameras. As the live feed camera transmitted images of the Earth and surrounding space, a user online noticed two small, dark objects in the distance. They said that its shape and movements deviated from the expected patterns of space debris or known satellites. Intrigued, they started to take some screenshots in the hopes of better understanding what it was that they witnessed. They said that the objects were in the shape of a cube, saying that it maneuvered gracefully through the vast emptiness of space. The user said that it flew past the camera within a matter of seconds and displayed agility and speed beyond the capabilities of any known human-made spacecraft. With the mysterious object captivating their attention, they knew that they were witnessing something strange, and so quickly grabbed some screenshots. They said that the object's flight patterns and advanced maneuvers challenged conventional understanding, raising questions about its technological capabilities and potential nature. After sharing the photographs online, some suggested that the small black objects were advanced reconnaissance probes from an advanced civilization observing humanity's activities from afar. Others theorized that it could be a result of a top-secret military experiment, pushing the boundaries of aerospace technology. Regardless of the explanations, the sighting opened up a world of possibilities and triggered discussions about the existence of intelligent life beyond Earth. However, despite numerous attempts at trying to explain what these objects were, they remained a mystery. Interestingly, those who saw the photographs said that this isn't the first time that these objects have been captured on the International Space Station's live cameras, and said that over the years, a variety of strange objects have been captured. Although NASA and other space agencies have said that these objects are nothing of interest and can normally be explained as things like space debris and camera glitches, this hasn't stopped users from investigating further, noting that every so often these objects can be seen during the live streams. Whether these two small black objects were an otherworldly visitor, a product of advanced human technology, or something else entirely, its presence has left many unanswered questions, and as humanity continues its voyage of discovery, the enigmatic encounter serves as a constant reminder that the universe is full of surprises, waiting to be discovered. As mentioned, numerous recordings from the International Space Station have captured objects appearing in the frame, exhibiting unconventional flight patterns and unexplained characteristics. Eyewitness accounts and footage reveal sightings of spherical, cylindrical, or disc-shaped objects maneuvering near the space station. These objects often exhibit high speeds, abrupt changes in direction, and anomalous behavior that cannot be easily explained by known space debris or natural phenomena. Several explanations have been proposed to account for the mysterious objects caught near the International Space Station. One possibility is the presence of space debris or satellites, which can occasionally pass by the station. However, the distinct flight patterns and behaviors observed in some cases defy the characteristics of typical space debris or known satellite movements. Another explanation involves misidentifications or lens flares caused by light reflections or internal optics within the cameras. Such optical phenomena can create the illusion of objects or anomalies in the recorded footage. However, the consistency of witness reports and the corroboration between different camera angles challenge the notion that all sightings are mere artifacts. The sightings of these mysterious objects have fueled speculation about potential advanced civilizations. Proponents of this hypothesis argue that the peculiar flight patterns and advanced technology displayed by these objects suggest the presence of intelligent life monitoring our planet or interacting with the space station. While this hypothesis is intriguing, it remains speculative, as definitive proof of advanced activity is yet to be established. The complex nature of this phenomenon requires rigorous scientific investigation and analysis of available evidence to ascertain the true nature of these sightings. The realm of outer space has always been shrouded in mystery, and astronauts, as intrepid explorers, are no strangers to encounters with the unknown. Several astronauts have come forward with accounts of mysterious aircrafts. Those who believe in this phenomenon have said that if you are going to believe anyone, then you should believe those who've actually been to space. Perhaps the most notable is the testimony of Buzz Aldrin, the second person to walk on the moon. Aldrin has stated that he and his fellow Apollo 11 crew members observed a mysterious object during their journey to the moon, describing it as a cylindrical object moving alongside their spacecraft. Similarly, Edgar Mitchell, the sixth person to walk on the moon as part of the Apollo 14 mission, spoke openly about his belief in advanced life and his conviction that mysterious objects have visited Earth. Mitchell claimed that multiple astronauts have witnessed these objects, but the information has been withheld from the public. In addition to these renowned astronauts, other space explorers, including Gordon Cooper and Story Musgrave, have shared their own encounters with unidentified objects during their missions. Their descriptions often include sightings of bright lights, strange formations, or objects exhibiting rapid acceleration and maneuverability. The testimonies of astronauts hold considerable weight due to their extensive training, scientific backgrounds, and credibility within the space exploration community. These individuals are trained observers who have undergone rigorous astronaut selection processes and have extensive knowledge of spacecraft and celestial phenomena. The testimonies of astronauts who claim to have encountered mysterious objects during their space missions provide intriguing insights into the unexplained phenomena that occur beyond our planet. While skeptics offer alternative explanations and caution against misinterpretations, the credibility and training of these astronauts demand careful consideration. The experiences shared by these space explorers encourage scientific inquiry, inspire curiosity, and challenge our understanding of the universe. As we continue to explore the cosmos, further research and investigation into these encounters will shed light on the nature of these objects and potentially reshape our understanding of our place in the universe. Google Earth, a popular online mapping platform, has revolutionized the way we explore our planet. Beyond its utility in mapping cities and landmarks, Google Earth has inadvertently become a tool for enthusiasts and researchers to search for unexplained aerial phenomena. This mysterious triangular-shaped object was found by someone who was scanning Google Earth, and the coordinates bring you to San Antonio, New Mexico, interestingly near the Holloman Air Force Base. Oddly enough, when you try to search for these coordinates, they no longer exist, and this has caused some researchers to suggest that these types of images are removed on purpose. Google Earth's vast database of satellite imagery allows users to zoom in on locations worldwide, providing a unique perspective on Earth's surface. Enthusiasts and researchers have eagerly employed this tool to scour the globe for unusual aerial anomalies. By examining high-resolution images, they aim to identify and document potential mysterious sightings. The image in question is from 2013, but as mentioned, despite several attempts to locate it again using the updated version of the software, it is no longer available. However, the sighting was submitted to the Mutual UFO network, so researchers have a data log from when the object was first discovered. Oddly enough, there was a strange circle marking etched into the ground right next to the triangular object, leading some to suggest that the aircraft may have created these strange patterns. Unidentified objects have fascinated and perplexed people for decades, and in recent years, more and more people are coming forward with their encounters, helping to bring this topic into the mainstream media. For this reason, objects such as this one are being seen by more people. Among the various shapes and forms reported, one of the most intriguing and frequently observed is the mysterious black triangle. Triangle-shaped objects, also known as black triangles, are characterized by their distinct shape, resembling an equilateral or isosceles triangle. Witnesses describe these objects as immense in size, with each side measuring hundreds of feet. They often exhibit a slow and silent movement, defying conventional aircraft capabilities. The most notable feature reported is the presence of lights on each corner of the craft, emitting a soft, steady glow. These black triangles have been reported worldwide, sparking intense interest among researchers and enthusiasts. One notable incident occurred in Belgium during the late 1980s. Over a period of several months, thousands of witnesses, including police officers and military personnel, reported observing large, low-flying, triangle-shaped craft. The Belgian wave, as it became known, captured international attention and remains one of the most well-documented cases in history. Similar sightings have occurred in various countries, including the United States, where reports of black triangles have surfaced from different regions. Witnesses describe the objects hovering silently and performing intricate maneuvers beyond the capabilities of known aircraft. These sightings often occur at night, with witnesses reporting mesmerizing lights on the underbelly of the craft. Numerous theories have been proposed to explain the origin and nature of these black triangles, with one prevailing theory being that these objects could be advanced military aircraft, part of a classified project employing advanced stealth technology. This theory posits that governments are testing new aerial platforms with enhanced maneuverability and surveillance capabilities. Another theory speculates that black triangles could be advanced in nature. Proponents argue that the sheer size, silent propulsion, and unusual flight patterns suggest a technology far beyond our current understanding. Some theorize that these crafts may be piloted by highly advanced civilizations conducting surveillance or scientific exploration, while others suggest that they are drones that have been sent here by other planets, similar to what we've done on Mars. This theory could explain how these objects are able to fly at the speeds they do, with believers in this theory saying that anything biological inside would likely be taken out by the force that's created, and the idea that they are probes would make more sense. A third theory posits that black triangles may be the result of a covert black project developed by a powerful group or organization. According to this theory, these organizations possess advanced technologies that have been kept secret from the public. They speculate that the craft's appearance and behavior could be the result of revolutionary propulsion systems and energy sources. The United States has been a hotbed for triangle sightings, with reports spanning several decades. Numerous witness accounts, including those from credible sources such as pilots, military personnel, and law enforcement officers, add weight to the phenomenon's legitimacy. Sightings often occur in various regions, with notable clusters reported in areas such as the Hudson Valley in New York, the Phoenix Lights incident in Arizona, and the Illinois Triangle sighting. Pilots have reported encountering these triangles, but note that our fastest jets don't have the ability to keep up with them. Black triangle-shaped aircrafts continue to fascinate and intrigue both researchers and the general public. With numerous documented sightings, including those from credible witnesses such as military personnel and law enforcement officers, these objects remain an enigma. The characteristics, reported sightings, and theories surrounding these black triangles fuel ongoing discussions and investigations into their nature and origin, while the exact explanation for these sightings remains elusive. The prevalence of black triangle reports suggests that there is something significant happening in our skies. Whether the objects are advanced military aircraft, extraterrestrial in origin, or the result of covert black projects, their existence challenges our understanding of conventional aviation and raises profound questions about our place in the universe. Further research, collaboration, and scientific inquiry are crucial to unraveling the mysteries surrounding these aircrafts. The exploration of these unexplained phenomena invites us to embrace curiosity, expand our knowledge, and remain open to the possibility of extraordinary discoveries. Just recently, NASA announced that they are researching these aircraft, but note that further evidence is needed for us to come to a conclusive answer on what these objects are. In the pursuit of understanding, we must continue to gather and analyze data, encourage credible eyewitness testimonies, and foster an environment where the study of mysterious aircrafts can thrive. According to a reputable lawyer who is involved in bringing whistleblowers to Congress, the US military allegedly retrieved a crashed unidentified object that had the capability to distort space-time and was larger internally than it appeared externally. Daniel Sheehan claims that he was informed about an astonishing story by a knowledgeable source who purportedly participated in a covert program dedicated to recovering crashed advanced spacecraft. This individual has allegedly briefed the staff of the Senate Intelligence Committee. The attorney's account is the most recent addition to a series of astounding assertions this week about unidentified objects in the possession of the government. This sequence began with a public interview featuring David Grush, a former high-ranking officer in Air Force intelligence, who claimed that the US government has multiple crashed vehicles of advanced origin. The Department of Defense has come forward and said that they have not found any credible evidence to substantiate the claims made. Sheehan has been assisting individuals like Grush in coming forward to Congress in an effort to reveal what he perceives as a government lie to hide encounters with beings from outer space. The lawyer informed news outlets that he was told about a particular incident of recovery by someone who claimed to have insider knowledge of a crash retrieval program. This incident involved a partially buried 30-foot saucer with extraordinary characteristics. According to Sheehan, they made an attempt to attach a bulldozer to the object in order to remove it. Surprisingly, when they pulled, the object came out in a triangular shape, resembling a piece of pie, almost as if it was intentionally designed that way. As soon as it became dislodged by a few feet, they promptly halted their actions. Their intention was to avoid compromising the structural soundness of the apparatus. During the exploration, an individual entered the structure and was astounded by its vastness, which was comparable to that of a football stadium. The individual experienced feelings of unease and nausea due to the disorienting nature of the immense interior space. The dimensions of the object were comparable to that of a football stadium, but its external diameter measured only around 30 feet. According to Sheehan, the presence of warped dimensions extends beyond just space around the spacecraft. According to knowledgeable physicists, it is theoretically possible to manipulate space-time around an advanced spacecraft in order to counteract the force of gravity. However, Sheehan refused to provide additional information, such as the specific location and date of the incident, and stated that he was unable to present evidence to substantiate the allegations. The absence of specific information, records, and visuals is causing skeptics to disregard the accounts of an advanced spacecraft stored within covert government initiatives, considering them as mere fictional narratives. Military intelligence experts who have expressed their endorsement for Grush since he made his public revelation emphasize that he has exposed himself to significant danger if he is being untruthful, as all his assertions have been formally submitted to the Inspector Generals of the Department of Defense and the intelligence community under the threat of legal consequences for perjury. According to knowledgeable sources in the intelligence community, there is credible and verifiable evidence suggesting that the government or military contractors possess a minimum of 12 unidentified objects. According to Public's report, they sourced information from individuals who also provided information to Grush during the briefing. According to an individual claiming to be a whistleblower, it is reported that every 5 years, there are 1 or 2 unidentified crafts that are either recovered from landings, captured, or involved in crashes. The whistleblower claims knowledge of approximately 12 to 15 such crafts. According to a defense contractor who disclosed the information to the public, there were multiple distinct forms and structures observed. Out of the total, 6 were found to be in good condition, while the remaining 6 were not. There were instances where the unidentified aerial vehicles landed, but their occupants were not present upon inspection. Notably, individuals in high-ranking positions, including generals, have had physical contact with these vehicles, and there is no reason to doubt their credibility. The belief in government theories concerning advanced life is not a new phenomenon. While we have no definitive proof that the US government is hiding knowledge of alien life, several plausible theories attempt to justify why they might do so if such knowledge was within their grasp. Firstly, one must consider the potential for mass panic and societal unrest. The knowledge of intelligent extraterrestrial life could have profound implications on worldviews, religions, and fundamental human beliefs. For centuries, humans have regarded themselves as the center of life and intelligence in the universe. An abrupt revelation that we are not alone, and potentially not even the most advanced civilization, could cause substantial unrest, fear, and even chaos. This potential disruption of societal norms and peace may be deemed too risky by the government, leading them to maintain secrecy. Secondly, there may be national security concerns associated with the disclosure of extraterrestrial existence. If the US government were in possession of alien technology, or was engaged in communication or cooperation with advanced beings, publicizing this information could risk national security. Other nations may seek to obtain this technology or knowledge, leading to a new kind of arms race or heightened global tension. Furthermore, the revelation that the government is incapable of defending its citizens against technologically superior beings could create fear and undermine the government's authority. Thirdly, the government might be worried about the effect of such a revelation on the economy. The announcement of advanced life could disrupt markets, causing economic instability. The existence of intelligent advanced life would undoubtedly be one of the most profound discoveries in human history. While its immediate impact on fields such as science and philosophy is apparent, it also poses intriguing implications for the realm of religion. Religion, fundamentally, is a human endeavor to comprehend the nature of existence, our place within the cosmos, and the potential existence of a divine entity or entities. The discovery of advanced life would challenge and expand these interpretations in significant ways, forcing us to reassess our understanding of divinity, creation, and the purpose of human life. Firstly, the impact on religions would largely depend on their doctrinal flexibility. Many religions have a geocentric focus, with humanity considered the pinnacle of creation. Advanced extraterrestrial life forms could disrupt these beliefs, questioning our central place in the cosmos. However, religions with a more fluid interpretation of their texts and an openness to reinterpretation might adapt more easily. Secondly, the discovery could promote a more universal understanding of spirituality and the divine. Instead of perceiving God or gods as exclusive to humanity, the presence of other intelligent life might instigate a more inclusive, cosmic interpretation of divinity. This shared divine experience might contribute to a sense of unity among intelligent species across the cosmos, birthing a form of universal religion or spirituality. Moreover, the discovery might motivate religious communities to revisit, reinterpret, and renew their doctrines. Texts that refer to heavens, other worlds, or beings from the sky might be interpreted in light of extraterrestrial existence. This could result in a broadening of religious thought, spawning new theological studies and philosophies. However, it's also possible that the discovery of advanced extraterrestrial life might catalyze a crisis of faith for some believers. Individuals might question their religious convictions, particularly if their beliefs are rigidly anthropocentric, or if they perceive the existence of advanced life as incompatible with their religious texts or doctrines. Simultaneously, new religious movements might emerge, with extraterrestrials incorporated into or even central to their beliefs. History shows that significant events or discoveries often give rise to new spiritual interpretations and religious groups. As of right now, the discovery of advanced life would pose significant implications for religion, prompting both challenges and opportunities for spiritual growth and understanding. It would provoke a deep, collective introspection about our beliefs, our place in the universe, and the nature of the divine. It is important, however, to recognize that these outcomes are largely speculative and would depend on the nature of the discovery, the characteristics of the advanced beings, and the global religious landscape at the time of the revelation. A resident in Texas reported seeing a mysterious object in the sky. The eyewitness submitted a report to the Mutual UFO Network, an organization that investigates mysterious aircrafts, and reported that as the sun was setting, they captured some images of patterns that had formed in the clouds, They reported that to ensure the quality of their images, they snapped 3 shots at once. However, upon reviewing the photos, they were unaware of what they had captured, noting that in the background, a strange black object could be seen close to the clouds. They showed the mysterious object to their wife, but both of them couldn't agree on what this object was, further adding that there wasn't anything in the area at the time the image was taken. The resident explained that the absence of trees where he lives means that there are no birds around, and caused him to rule out the possibility that this was an animal. The eyewitness had said that they are looking for an answer as to what this object could be. Interestingly enough, other people came forward and said that they had seen the same thing, and detailed that the object could be seen breaking through the clouds. One resident by the name of Mary Thompson had an extraordinary encounter with an object that looked nearly identical to this one. Mary described that as she was walking her dog, she couldn't help but notice the sky above. High above, amidst the backdrop of the fading daylight, she spotted an unusual object moving through the sky. It was a large black object, silently gliding across the horizon. Mary watched the enigmatic craft, captivated by its otherworldly presence. She stood there in awe, unable to comprehend what she was witnessing, noting that the object didn't match anything that she had seen before. The mysterious black object defied all conventional understanding, and she detailed that it moved with such grace and precision. Mary's mind raced with questions, trying to rationalize the inexplicable sight before her eyes. She detailed that she tried to take a photograph of the mysterious object, but noted that her phone's camera wasn't up to the task, and the resulting images were too blurry to make out anything. As Mary continued to watch the mysterious craft, a sense of excitement and curiosity overwhelmed her. After seeing these photographs, she reported that it reminded her of the object that she had seen, and said that the black object she witnessed was the same shape as this one. She also detailed that the object appeared to be rotating. The topic of mysterious aircrafts above Texas has captivated the public's imagination for decades, leading to a surge in reported sightings and encounters, and causing eyewitnesses to come forward with their encounters. While the nature and origin of these unidentified objects above Texas remain a subject of debate, the number of reported sightings in the United States is quite substantial, and has led to researchers into the unknown to say that these sightings and encounters should be taken more seriously. The United States, with its vast territory and diverse population, has been a hotspot for unidentified sightings. Over the years, numerous individuals from all walks of life have come forward to share their experiences, ranging from strange lights in the sky to encounters with mysterious craft. And interestingly, due to the amount of encounters that have been reported, it's led to astronauts and military personnel to come forward with their sightings, which many have said adds credibility to these claims. The exact number of reported sightings in the United States varies from year to year. Organizations that research these aircrafts have provided valuable data for analysis and investigation. According to available records, thousands of sightings are reported in the United States annually, and in some years, the numbers reach into the tens of thousands, indicating a significant interest and ongoing fascination with the phenomenon. It is important to note that not all reported sightings can be classified as genuine encounters. Many sightings turn out to have conventional explanations, such as misidentified aircraft, weather phenomena, or even hoaxes. However, a significant percentage of cases remain unexplained, leaving room for speculation and further investigation. Some of the most commonly reported sightings include objects exhibiting unusual flight patterns, high speeds, or abrupt changes in direction. Witnesses often describe seeing bright lights, saucer-shaped craft, or triangular formations in the sky. Some reports even describe close encounters with beings or entities associated with these unidentified objects. The Lone Star State of Texas, with its vast landscapes and diverse population, has been a hotspot for sightings and encounters. Over the years, numerous reports have emerged from various regions, captivating the imagination of residents and sparking curiosity among enthusiasts. One of the most famous incidents in Texas occurred in 1957 in the small town of Levelland. Multiple witnesses reported seeing a large, egg-shaped object with bright lights that allegedly caused their vehicles to stall or malfunction. The incident gained significant media attention, drawing the interest of researchers and investigators from around the country. In addition to the Leveland incident, Texas has been the site of numerous other reported sightings. Witnesses have described a wide range of phenomena, including sightings of disc-shaped objects, triangular craft, and mysterious lights in the night sky. Over the years, numerous residents reported seeing a massive, silent object with flashing lights moving at high speeds. The incident gained national attention and prompted investigations by both local authorities and researchers. Reports of sightings in Texas often involve witnesses from different backgrounds, including military personnel, law enforcement officers, and everyday citizens. Many sightings occur in rural areas where the night sky is free from light pollution, allowing for clearer observations of unusual aerial phenomena. The Gulf Coast region of Texas has also seen its fair share of sightings. The proximity to the Gulf of Mexico and the area's extensive waterways have led to reports of unidentified objects emerging from or descending into the water. Witnesses have described bright lights or strange craft performing unusual maneuvers in the sky before disappearing without a trace. The advent of modern technology and the widespread use of smartphones have made it easier than ever for individuals to document and share their sightings. Photos and videos captured by eyewitnesses can provide valuable visual evidence, although their authenticity and reliability must be carefully evaluated. While the number of reported sightings is significant, it is important to consider that not all sightings are reported. Many witnesses choose not to come forward due to fear of ridicule or skepticism. Therefore, the actual number of encounters may be much higher than the reported figures. The vast and biodiverse Amazon rainforest, with its dense canopy and remote locations, has been the stage for numerous mysterious encounters. Among these intriguing phenomena are reported sightings of unidentified objects above the rainforest's expanse. Over the years, individuals exploring or residing near the Amazon rainforest have reported sightings of strange objects in the sky.